Hello. Sorry, getting ready on TikTok. Then we can get started. Where did that just go? Thank you. Give that back. All right. It's Friday. I'm so excited. Hi, Kilo. Good morning. Let me click that to get that connected so that that makes sense. Hi, Dark Shadows. Good morning, good morning, good morning. All right, let's get some music going in here, shall we? Shall we? Friday. I died at like, what's it been? A month or so now, I think. Where did my gift go? Where did it go? Wow. Put that down a little bit. I thought it's a good way to get the morning started here. Hi, Monster. What are you doing this morning after the... I'm doing all right. I think it'll be fun. Yeah, Lenati, this is that goofy movie song. Oh, good, Jay. I'm glad that you could watch the entire thing because we were live. You made it, Luca. Yeah, Kilo. President Trump is brilliant at solving problems that. Well, actually, he's not brilliant at even solving the problems, but he pretends to solve the problems of the fires he starts, and also finding solutions for problems that don't exist. That's always fun. Aw, Chance, are you all right? Don't think so.
What about Biden?
Chance, try again. What about him? um, Josiah, is that the guy who said that they don't have, not yet? Was it that guy by chance? Because I have that video of it. It was him. Yes, Trans Tifa Turtle. I did see that. I actually don't have that on my coverage, although I have an entire Epstein section I was planning to get to today. But I saw that Massey introduced Epstein Files Transparency 2. Fish Shape quoted the song at Chilton. I love that. Yes, Mark Thomas. About selfless face. Good morning to everybody, regardless of your woke time zone. I appreciate you guys being here. I just realized that I didn't mute that for YouTube, so they heard that entire thing. So YouTube's gonna strike me for that. That's gonna be fun later. I'll just have to remove it. My bad, YouTube. I'm and Twitch. I'm sorry. I'll remove it after I get off of live today. My bad. Um. Oh God, what are you guys talking about now? Anyway, today I think is going to be fun. So good morning, everybody. Welcome in. Happy Friday. I don't know why I'm so jovial about it. My time zone is fake news because if you ask somebody what their time zone is and they say Mountain Time, it doesn't sound like we live in reality, but we do. Welcome in, everybody. If you're watching on TikTok, I would appreciate if we could start tapping that screen, please. I like to hit 50,000 likes within the first hour. I know you guys can do 100,000 likes an hour, and since I started at 9, we should be able to hit 300,000 likes before I end at noon Mountain Time. So I'd appreciate if you guys could start tapping that screen, get those finger muscles working so that we can get those likes up. I would appreciate it so very much. Also, share the live out before I start playing clips because we're going to go over the shit show that we played last night now with a clearer head. Good morning, Kayla. I would appreciate if you could repost because once I start playing stuff, TikTok does not allow you to repost or it makes it a little bit difficult for you to do so. So, please repost. Add it to your story. Share it to 5 of your friends. Let's get it shared out here so that we can get started this morning. Please, I would appreciate it. Do your daily heart me if you have not done so. That's that little heart that just went above Trump's head right there. It's supposed to do me. Most of the time it does Trump. If you do your daily heart me, I would appreciate it. It also gives you access to stickers in the chat that you can use. There's lots of fun ones in there, especially ones of my face that you can use, and I would appreciate that. We have the little roses that we start out with every single day, so let's make sure that we are hitting whatever little gift goals that I have set up there. Thank you guys so much for hitting my gift gallery out and being done with that on Wednesday. You guys knocked that out. So thank you. W's to you for that. Gift gallery is lit up. We do not have to worry about that. So let's just worry about the little bit of gift goals. Thank you so much for the jewels, Victor. I appreciate it. And keep doing that. Was that it for Tickety Talk? I think that's it for Tickety Talk. So let's move on to YouTube. Guys, if you're watching over on YouTube, if you could hit that thumbs up button for me, I would appreciate it. It does help push us out onto the shorts algorithm over there on YouTube because when I finish the spiel, I will have the phone lines turned on so that we can have a conversation. I have conversations with Trump supporters based off of factually based evidence, not your feelings. So if you make a claim about something, I don't want to hear you tell me, you don't think you're really that stupid. I would like you to actually source that claim with factually based evidence, and no, whitehouse.gov is not a reliable source. I wouldn't use it for any kind of Democrat. You should not use it for Trump. So, hit that thumbs up over there on YouTube because if you are not brave enough and you would like to be a keyboard warrior, then please, maybe we can get one of your brethren to be braver. So we will try and work on that. Okay? You can also subscribe. You can become a member over there. You can send jewels like Victor just did. Thank you so much. And you can send super chats. In case the chat starts getting too fast and you have something you really would like me to read, a super chat ensures that I will read it. So you can send those over there. Hello to my lovelies over on Twitch. I see you. Please make sure that you are following me. If you are not, please do so. You can subscribe. Remember, if you pay for Prime, Jeff Bezos gives you 1 free Prime sub a month that you could use on me. I would appreciate it. Subscribing gives you access to emotes in the chat that are similar to the stickers that I have over here on TikTok. So I'd appreciate if you guys could do that. And you can send bits over there as well. Now the big one, guys. This is my job. This is what I do for a living. And we pay for women's labor on this platform. So I have my 100 goal that I have every single day. And I would love it if we could work on that. That is crowdfunded from you guys. You guys pay for that labor, and I appreciate it so much when you do. So Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, all in the link tree in my bio. If we could start working on that, I would appreciate it. Remember, we have $10 left to ban Randy and any other iterations of Google Voice numbers that he creates to call me because it's creepy that men don't understand consent. But here we are. So we have $10 left to get rid of Randy. If you would like that to go, any of the donations that you have would like to go to that ban pool specifically, please let me know. So that we can get started, and it will count towards my goal today as well. So just remember that. W's to Lanati to get us started off with the $5 on PayPal. You said we are starting early today. Please mute Daniel in the chat. Love you bunches. Did we get him Or is he still in here talking? Let's see. There's Daniel. Well, Daniel, hello and goodbye. You are muted for the rest of the day because we follow them rules.
Do you want someone muted in the chat? Is there someone who's spamming, making disingenuous arguments, displaying bot behavior, or maybe they're just a dumb bitch? Well, you can keep them muted and contribute to their degradation kink. But remember, while we don't kink shame, it is perfectly acceptable to kink ask why. You can keep them muted for as little as $2 a day, $7 a week, or $25 a month. Pay links in the bio.
Okay. Thank you, Lakin. I appreciate that. I'm glad that that's the sentence they got, but it's sad that it's a situation that we were in, the community was in to begin with. Okay. Ronald, you need to fix the grammar and spelling in that sentence before you can speak to me. Let's get started. Did anything big happen last night? I would say no, because we were here. We streamed it. We watched the entire thing, and then we went through all the documents, so I'm excited. Yes, early, Monty. Hi, Adi. If you would like to call in about this, it's going to be a fun time for me, because I have all the documents on my computer, and there wasn't anything. Hey, David, censoring free speech. What are the first 5 words of the First Amendment, David? What are the first 5 words of the First Amendment, David? Okay, so what I want to do is I want to get started because actually Trump was on time for once. It's shocker that happened. So I wanted to get to a few videos that I had. Some of them I actually can get rid of because he didn't talk about those things at all. But a couple videos that I had that happened before his speech, right? So yesterday, was it yesterday? The day before that, excuse me. J.D. Vance was asked if Donald Trump should steer clear of the unfounded 2020 claims in his speech. And J.D. Vance gives this response, like a smarmy little asshole, which is actually funny now because you all have egg on your face. Actually, I want to find, real quick, sorry, let me find this so that I have it for later. Thank you, James, so much. I appreciate that. Where is Bernie Moreno's tweet from yesterday? Because that's going to be funny too. To read. There it is. All right. You got egg on your face, JD Vance. You got egg on your face.
You encourage him to steer clear of those unfounded claims that he is actually the true victor of the 2020 elections?
I love these questions, the unfounded claims. You're basically assuming an answer in the very question that you ask. Manu, what I'd say is we can do a...
You encourage...
The unfounded claim. Uh-huh. And what did we get yesterday? David, you did not answer my question, David. My question to you was, what are the first 5 words of the First Amendment? If you don't know, you can Google them, about free speech specifically. And then you said, oh yeah, you've got all the documents. The ones that Donald Trump released on whitehouse.gov. Yes, I do. We went through literally all of them last night, sweetheart. You can catch up on that, or we can just go through it now. Okay, so there was that one. Okay. They were setting up, it was going to be big. It's going to be big, okay? So here was Levitt, who's back, and she was being asked if Donald Trump is going to accept the results of the festival in November. We did not get an answer, of course. Hi, Chicky.
The election.
I've got you, Mike.
Will the president accept the results of November's elections?
Look, Ed, you should tune into the president's speech tonight before you jump ahead to conclusions about what's actually in the speech. Again, I've seen a lot of reporting and misreporting about what the president will say. We hope CBS will take the speech and all Americans should take it.
Okay, but I'm not presuming it. I'm just asking will he accept the results?
Caroline, 2 questions from the
Why can't she answer that question? Could it be because Donald Trump for 10 years, not just 6 years, but for 10 years since the election in 2016, has said that he will not accept results that he doesn't like? It's interesting to me that when Obama was in power and Trump won the following election, that was perfectly fine. And then when Trump was in power and lost his re-election, that was rigged. And then when Biden was in power and in the 2024 election where Donald Trump won, that was also perfectly fine, not any kind of issue. Cool. Why can't she answer that question? Also, stop getting work done, please. Like, you can do whatever you want with your body, but like, you're too young for all that shit. Anyway, let me check these as I'm sitting here. W's to Mike for the 813, 1 day closer to the big, beautiful notification. Thank you so much. I'm guessing that's, what's the math on that? Was that, you said 8? 8, is that, did I read that right? I might, listen, we know me and math. Leave me alone. Yeah, that was the math I got. I think you were close. I knew what you were trying to do. So W's, can I get W's to Mike for that? That gets us to 8687. What we are looking for is 8647. We're almost there. 8687. I can do that. But it's okay, because that number is going to get moved anyway. W's to 13 dot for the $10 for good morning. I haven't seen you around, 13 dot. How have you been? I hope you've been doing well. Maybe life's just been keeping you busy. But we've missed you in this space. So thank you so much. What was that? Did I just... Oh, Mike for the 40 cents for oops. No, thank you. I appreciate that. We do love 8647 in this space. We need to make a sticker for that in the chat. That would be a good sticker. Ooh, we should make it out of... Oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to find the Comey seashell picture, and then I'm going to make that something that you guys can use in the chat. Would we like that? I'm so excited. Okay, anyway, back to Caroline Levitt. Levitt is asked about the difference of the 2020 election and the 2024 election, about the too big to rig claims, and she pivots to what they all pivot to, remember, which is the concern about festival integrity. Not any actual facts, but concern about it. Thank you so much, Michael.
Garrett.
Caroline, welcome back.
Good to see you.
Likewise. To the degree that this speech tonight is about elections past, not elections upcoming, the 2020 election has had dozens of recounts, lawsuits, audits. The 2024 election, widely believed to be safe and secure. There's not really any question about that. A lot of people look at this.
Because it was too big to rig.
Well, I think a lot of people look at this
There's a
and
massive amount of votes for this president. That's why he's in the Oval Office right now.
No one disputes that. And there were a significant amount of votes for Joe Biden, who won.
There were more. It was so big, you couldn't rig it because of the massive amounts of votes that Donald Trump got, except that Joe Biden got more.
In 2020. I think the question is, why is the president unable to let this go?
Well, first of all, Garrett, I think part of the problem is that the media has refused to acknowledge that tens of millions of Americans across the country share the concerns of...
Oh! No, why can't Donald Trump let it go? He can't let it go because millions of Americans share the concern about the integrity of the elections. Who put that concern into existence for the last 10 years? So it is the Ouroboros, it is the snake eating itself, it is a circular conversation. Donald Trump started the conversations about election integrity with unfounded claims, okay? That he disseminated to his base, okay? So then his base, and even regular Americans who don't pay attention to politics, said, well, maybe I should be worried. I should be worried because he said so. He said so I should be worried, and now we're worried. And now that worry is the reason he's worried, is the reason they're worried, is the reason he's worried. Do you see the circular argument that you've now put yourself into? Where's the evidence? Still waiting. 4 zip drives later of nothing.
This president about the sanctity of our elections. And your premise of your question, you're jumping ahead to a conclusion in this speech before even hearing it yourself. I think that everyone should tune in tonight, including the people in this room, and you should report on the president's speech and the findings that he is going to reveal in this speech with a
Oh, we did, but we'll go over them again.
little bit of honesty and a little bit of integrity, because it will shock you if you have an honest eye listening to the president tonight, and everything he is saying will be backed by facts and by evidence that will be provided this evening. And again, Garrett, I think all Americans, Democrat, Republican, should agree that we are the greatest country in the history of the world. We should have the safest and most secure elections in the history of the world. And what the president will be speaking about tonight will show you that perhaps that is not the case, and we need to make some adjustments moving forward, including the Save America Act, as Rachel pointed out, is a key legislative priority for this president on Capitol Hill, and he wants to see all senators and members of Congress voting in favor of the Save America Act because it's crucially important as we move forward.
Now that's what the speech was. What the speech was an advertisement, one for, what was it? It was Trump RX, Trump accounts, and there was one more. And whitehouse.gov. So he like advertised for 3 websites, right? That's what that was. It was an advertisement. But that's really what the speech was about. It wasn't about proving anything. It was trying to rally the base to try to tell their senators, hey, vote for the Save America Act, which has failed 3 times in the Senate because it's not popular. That was his only goal. It's most likely not going to succeed because, as the lovely Sunkist pointed out yesterday, even conservatives in your Discord servers and Reddit hellholes do not believe this. So now Levitt is asked, well, if there's evidence, where are the arrests and indictments? What does it say? I can't read. Oh, wait. Calling out Nancy in the chat to request up since she has questions to ask. Questions about what? Nancy? Okay, let me get that button. That button gets sticky.
Thank you, Caroline.
Sure.
Regarding the president's speech tonight, he's been in office over 540 days now. If what he says is tonight is backed up by evidence, why hasn't anyone been charged?
Well, he hasn't revealed it yet. He hasn't declassified the documents yet, and you will see what he says tonight, and then we'll move forward
So will
appropriately
charges
from
follow
there.
Tonight from the Justice Department?
I don't speak on behalf of the Justice Department, Caitlin, you know that. Rachel.
By evidence, will there be charges?
You'll have to ask the Justice Department. I don't charge people. I just speak on behalf of the president. Rachel.
Thanks, Caroline. Welcome.
But there were no charges. There were no indictments. There was not an FBI release of anything. Let's see. So then, last one I'm going to play, and then we will get into the actual shit he said and debunking some of that, which it debunked itself. That was the interesting part about it. The first document that I read debunked itself. So that was fun. We love that. But this is Thomas Massie, who's a Republican. He has been primaried out, but he has not stopped speaking out. And he has said this multiple times, but we're going to let him say it again, which is that how can you sit here and cry voter BS, which is the word we try to use on TikTok as best we can, when you won?
But I don't think the problem, is that our elections aren't secure because we control the House, we control the Senate, we control the White House, and in some degree, we control the Supreme Court. So I asked my Republican colleagues, why are you complaining about election fraud? We won all the damn elections. The fraud that's going on is we're not holding ourselves to the promises that we made of fiscal responsibility, putting America first, making America healthy. The problem is we're wasting the opportunity that we were given in these elections, that we won, all of them.
Thomas Massie thinks you're wasting your time. I think you're wasting your time too, but if you want to waste your time, that's fine. I'm not a Republican, so I don't care. I'm a registered independent, so I really don't care. Nancy, it sounds like you're really, really scared down there and you're yapping a lot. You should probably find some bravery. You just know I'm going to ask you to source, don't you? You just know I'm not going to let you rant and rave. I'm going to ask you to source your claims, and that's going to be tough for you to do so. Guys, over on TikTok, I love you all so very much, but there's 90 of you in here. Can we please keep tapping? We are behind on taps. If we are going to hit 50,000 within the first hour, we need to be well on our way to 25,000, and we are not. Now I'm making money off of you. How? Has anybody paid to mute you yet? No. When that $2 comes in to mute Nancy, then yeah, absolutely, I'll make money off of you. But other than that, cry harder. Welcome to capitalism, Nancy, where you exploit other people's labor and you exploit other people to make money for yourself. I thought you guys liked capitalism. I thought you liked capitalism. Anyway, all right. Here was really Donald Trump's biggest drop yesterday was that China influenced the election by talking bad about him.
The Chinese government sought to identify U.S. journalists who had reported negatively on the U.S. president and pay them large sums of money to write more negative articles about him, as many as they could, and they didn't care what they said. The Chinese government.
Oh my God, I have crabs.
Thank you, Peter. Crab Queen lives on. I go back.
Negatively on the U.S. president and pay them large sums of money to write more negative articles about him, as many as they could, and they didn't care what they said. The Chinese government wanted U.S. president to lose the next election, and the reason they wanted me to lose is because they knew I was wise to them.
I was wise to them. I thought they were friends. He said him and Xi Jinping were friends. But the big reveal was that China wanted people to write bad stories about him. That's it. That's all you got. That's not election fraud. It's not. It's not. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Trump. I'm so sorry to tell you this over and over and over. Can I get W's to Lily for the $2 for Bye, Nancy? You guys can go ahead and get that one going. Yes, Nancy, I did make that money off of you. W's to Lily. Nancy, you're done. You're done. You didn't want to come up. You didn't want to be brave. You no longer have a voice in this chat today. So sorry about that. Sorry. Let's see. Did anybody get her yet? Yep. We got her. Ari got her. So that was the big thing. Probably CNN fake news. His speech? His actual speech? Him speaking? That was fake news. I played this last night, but I'm going to replay it because I just want you to remember that Fox News paid a significant sum of money, almost $800 million, to Dominion voting machines for the lies that they knowingly spread about the systems. So when they were airing, this is Fox News, not CNN, when they were airing his speech last night, they said this.
Also heard the president make claims that electronic voting machines are vulnerable and easily compromised. Fox News has not seen that evidence yet, is not in a position to evaluate the accuracy of the president's statements and claims at this time. He also...
One more time.
Heard the president make claims that electronic voting machines are vulnerable and easily compromised. Fox News has not seen that evidence yet, is not in a position to evaluate the accuracy of the president's statements and claims at this time. He also...
They don't want to get sued again, Lynette. They do not want to get sued again. They're like, please, no. Please no. I don't want to do this. So then I'm going to play, should I do it this one first? Yeah. So we're going to play Now You Guys Can Cry. Are you ready? You can cry now. Here you go. Here is the Commie News Network, the Clown News Network, CNN. So you're not going to listen anymore, but they are going to help fact check some of the claims because I guarantee you guys did not read the documents that came out from whitehouse.gov. I went to whitehouse.gov's website. I had to have multiple friends help me on the fly, on live last night, figure out how to unzip a drive. Because guess what? I'm not super techie like that, and I did not know how to unzip a file. Had to learn how to do that. Thank you. W's to Ari and to Thick for helping me do that. Now I have the documents on my computer. We can talk about them, but I know you didn't read them. But let's go and do that. Name out some of his lies. He lied about the fact that China necessarily hacked our systems to get our voter rolls because those are public. We will get into that in a minute. He lied about, he used information about vulnerabilities in the voting machines. Now, I've said this last night and I will say it again. Has CISA found that there are vulnerabilities in the voting machines? Yes. Have they also reported that it has never come to fruition of ever having anything happened in any election? Yes. So you have to understand that, right? He is, again, making claims that he can't back up. The entirety of his speech ended with pass the Save America Act.
All right, Marshall, okay, level set for us. There are a lot of claims that were made tonight. What, if anything, did we actually learn that was new and substantiated?
Well, Laura, look, we've had a team here at CNN going through all these documents. This is just a small number. There are about 500 of them. And it's new stuff. There is new material in here because these are declassified materials. But as you just pointed out, for everything that Trump is raising,
shh, Ari, it's fine.
It seems like there's always a counterpoint a rebuttal, a piece of context that needs to be included. So a couple key points here that we found. One of the things that the White House has been touting all night is that they're arguing that China got access to 200 million voter files for 200 million Americans. What they might not have pointed out is that a lot of those voter files, you can buy them online. A lot of the states sell them. And also, intelligence agencies have said
You can request these voter records online for a small fee. So China got access to information that you can get access to because voter rolls are public. You just have to request them. Sometimes you have to pay a fee for that request.
for years that China is trying to get as much data as it can get its hands on. And the intelligence report said that China was hacking voter files, social media, hospitals, not just elections. Another key point in these new documents concerns that Venezuela was experimenting with software that could flip votes. This has been a claim that has been coming up over and over and over since 2020.
Charlie Kirk, what do you want me to fact check myself on?
From Trump allies. We looked at the CIA memo that described that allegation, and it made pretty clear.
He's starting today. Thank you for calling the stream. Can I get your age, state, and who you voted for?
Yeah, I'm Cletus. I'm 62, and I'm a proud Trump supporter.
What state did you vote in?
I voted in the state of Virginia.
Okay. Why are you still supporting Trump?
Because Trump is the greatest president of all. Did you not? I can't believe what we're looking at the same goddamn press conference last night. He comes out with all this evidence about how China hacked our election.
They didn't.
And you're just
Did you
sitting
not?
there going
Hold
like,
on,
"Oh,
hold
I
on.
could Google that,
What
and
did-
I could
you
steal
can.
that information
You can
myself if I wanted to."
You can. Voter
But who
rolls are
wants you
public.
to go steal an election? That is some liberal
Voter
bullshit
rolls,
that you're spreading around on your
Cletus,
YouTube page here.
sweetheart. I know the crash out's wild. You can get access to voter rolls
crash
because they
out?
are public, sweetheart. So China didn't do anything. And even if, I'll grant you, let's say China hacked and got the voter rolls. How did that change the outcome of the election in any way?
What are you talking about? So China sends a bunch of propaganda saying how much Trump is a bad person. Everyone goes, "Oh, ching chong ching, I agree. Trump is bad," and then they vote for Sleepy Joe Biden, who has dementia.
that's not
and is
fraud,
a goddamn
though.
retard
That's not
who
fraud.
wanted to start
That's
a
just
war in Iran and,
that's not
let
fraud.
Ukraine burn to hell.
Hey, that's not
Hey,
fraud. That's just
it's my turn to
influence.
talk. You're a goddamn.
No, it's not your turn to talk. Also, the racism was fucking wild. He didn't slur. He just was racist as fuck. Anyway, which we will get to. We'll get to Russia in just a little bit. But again, even if China hacked our voter rolls, which they would not need, I didn't hear that, Lenati, I apologize. Which they did not need to do because voter rolls are public and you can request them. Okay? Even if they did that, how does that change the outcome? His own answer was they changed people's minds with propaganda. Guess what? That's not fraud. That's just maybe people are easily influenceable. So, oh well, I apologize. I did not hear the slur, but I was done with him anyway because of the racism. And you know I don't let men tell me that it's their turn to talk on my motherfucking platform. Can I get W's to Securitron? W Securitron for the 1047 for just got here. Someone say capitalism? We did say capitalism. That thing they think they like, but they actually hate every time that they speak. And then we're like, well, you just don't like capitalism. I love capitalism. So W Securitron, thank you so much. We appreciate you. Let's get back to this CNN fact check. That's what we're going to get, by the way, today. I just want you to know. That's why I was excited, not for the slurring and the racism. I'm not excited for that. But I was excited for the fact that they're going to be crashing out hard because they have not read the documents yet. They probably won't. If I can't extract from a zip file, I damn sure know that they can't. And they're going to have a hard time today. So that'll be fun to listen to. Thank you for calling the stream. Can I get your age, state, and who you voted for?
Name one reason Kamala.
That is a child. Go play. School's gonna start here in the next few weeks. You should probably go play. Don't do that. Or have your parents call. That's fine. You can do that, but not you.
That, yeah, Venezuela might be able to do that at home, but the assessment from the CIA was that they wouldn't be able to do that abroad in the
Yes, we're going to get to that. So listen, because this is what it says. We read this last night in Way of Venezuela and the voting software and voting machines.
Since 2020 from Trump allies. We looked at the CIA memo that described that allegation, and it made pretty clear that, yeah, Venezuela might be able to do that at home, but the assessment from the CIA was that they wouldn't be able to do that abroad in the U.S.
Oh, okay. So even the vulnerabilities that they found, the CIA showed that they would not be able to do that abroad to us. Okay? Okay. Glad we got that. In his own documents.
For obvious reasons. And one last point, Laura.
Why would you think I would let you call back? Why would you think that?
There was new information that the White House claimed showed from the Department of Homeland Security, 250,000 non-citizens on the voter rolls. That's their allegation. We looked deeper into the data and
who said that? Wait. Did you hear about Biden stealing money and blackmailing Ukraine? Where?
The sources of that
you didn't read that right, did
are
you?
Just not so reliable. When you looked at the better source, the government sources that assess who's a citizen, who's not, it was a much smaller number, only about 28,000. Laura?
Marshall.
My God. So, again, got nothing. Point me to a document. You know what? Fine. We'll cover some of them. These are snippets of these documents, not actually what I have on my computer, but if you have ones we would like to talk to or talk about, we can absolutely do so. Tasty Cake, it's actually not abnormal. You said, why wouldn't mainstream air his speech, though? That's fucking weird. It's actually not. There was a speech in 2014 that Obama gave about immigration that the mainstream media did not air, and there was also one that Biden did on democracy that mainstream media did not air. If it's something that they don't think is going to be super newsworthy for their primetime slots, they just won't air it. So this is not the first time that this has happened with a president. It will not be the last. It's fucking weird. It's not, because they still played it digitally. It's just they're not going to move their time slots for that. Stop calling. I don't understand why men don't understand consent. I really don't. Like, they shouldn't have wasted their time with that, to be honest. They shouldn't have. There's no reason to. W's to Securitron again. W's to Securitron for the 14 for, hey, this capitalism thing is fun. I keep winning. Securitron, are you George Soros by chance? Because for the last week, I've been getting told that I'm getting paid by George Soros. Are you secretly George Soros? Guys, that brings us down to 50 W's to you all for the crowdfunding work you are doing. I appreciate it before we even hit the top of the hour. And we are at 33,000 likes, so we are working here. I know I'm making you work, and I'm making you work hard. And so I appreciate that with the likes. If you're watching over on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. And over on Twitch, I see you over there. Can I use that to mute some chuds? Yeah, if you want to, sure. They ran Trump being a Russian asset 24/7 regarding elections. Tasty Cake, did you read the documents? Let's get into it. How about this one? Because this is the next one, the first one we want to do. Cool. Awesome. We love this. All right. Boop. These figures are conspiring to intensify their efforts as the election approaches to orchestrate a high-profile corruption scandal implicating former Vice President Biden and the Democratic Party at the peak of the 2020 U.S. presidential campaign. Their aim is to defeat the former vice president and ensure the president's victory. Some of these proxy actors anticipate that Ukraine-themed narratives about Democratic corruption will play a decisive role in the election, that U.S. persons are key to propagating these narratives. I vote for $12 of that to mute Tasty for however long that is. You'll read the document. Hold on, what'd you say? But don't see how it's weird to not air it? No, I don't see how it's weird because they've done it in the past. I don't see how it's weird. It was a nothing burger, Tasty Cake. What did we get out of that? What did we get out of that? That was the child. Why would I answer that phone call? You guys need help. Since our assessment in May, blank, Russia continues to use state media, social media, and other online media platforms to denigrate the former vice president, the Democratic Party, and the U.S. political establishment, and to promote divisions in the country. This content has largely been favorable to the president at the time being Trump. But on occasion, it criticizes his administration for policies that run counter to Russian interests. Russian actors have circulated narratives about voter BS resulting from mail-in balloting and called some U.S. U.S. primary voting processes rigged by the Democratic Party. Uh-oh, all that he did was give us documents that prove what we have said and what the media reported on, not what the media accused, but what the media reported on, which is Russia tried to influence the 2020 festivals. 2016 as well, by the way. We'll get into that in a minute. Oh my God, what is happening? Yeah, I see. Hold on, I'm trying to read it. Lenati, W's to Lenati for the $10 for Ari to get 5 mutes in the chat. Te quiero mucho. So Ari, you get 5 mutes in the chat. Go crazy with that. W's to Justin for the $3. How can Securitron be George Soros when I'm George Soros? You're right. I forgot your account got hacked again. W George Soros for the $3. And then W's to Blue for the $2 to mute the cake so we don't lose so many brain cells before the weekend. So do with that, mods, what thou willst, with the chat. So that means he'll probably get muted today, and then he'll probably get muted if he comes back on Monday. That'll be fun for him. I'm gonna write that down. Cake with multiple E's. And Monday. Cool. Oh, he's at 14 total. That's 2 weeks worth. So, yep, I'm writing it down so I can put it in my Google Sheet later. And remember, I don't count the weekends because I'm not live on the weekends. W to you guys, I appreciate that. That is, I can do math. 35? Is that right? Did I do it? 2 weeks. We do love 2 weeks as a number as well because, you know, Donald Trump. All right, let's get to the next one I have on here. President Putin and senior Russian officials are overseeing efforts by proxies to spread claims about former Vice President Biden as well as Ukrainian politicians and alleged Ukrainian influence in the 2016 U.S. election. These claims include that when the former vice president was in office, he engaged in criminal activity in his dealings with Ukraine and individuals tied to Ukraine energy firm Burisma, Durkok Kilimnik, and other proxy actors. Oh no, where'd the guy go? Where'd he go? Who was the one in the YouTube chat who said that, you mean where Joe Biden was corrupt with Ukraine? Oh, you mean where it said they spread claims of this? Not that it was proven to be factually true. Okay. Okay. I'm glad you guys can read. But what it did prove was that Russia absolutely attempted to interfere with the elections in 2016 and 2020. Now, we have been saying this. You guys in your Russia, Russia, Russia. He just proved Russia, Russia, Russia last night. I just want you guys to know that. But we have said this. It was already proven. Thank you, Marco Rubio and the Republican Senate committee that found out that Russia was attempting to influence our elections in 2016 and 2020. And what we found was, although they attempted, it did not mean that they were successful. And it did not mean these claims were true. Okay, you guys need to use critical thinking skills, something I know you have issues doing. Was this one similar? Yes. So this is going to be what I just read, but even more down at the bottom. These figures are conspiring to intensify their efforts as the election approaches to orchestrate a high-profile corruption scandal implicating former Vice President Biden and the Democratic Party at the peak of the 2020 U.S. presidential campaign. Their aim is to defeat the former vice president and ensure the president's victory. Some of these proxy actors anticipate that Ukraine-themed narratives about Democratic corruption will play a decisive role in the election and that U.S. persons are key to propagating these narratives. So what it proved was that perfect phone call was indeed an impeachable offense, and that's why he was impeached, but he's acquitted in the Senate. And yes, he did do that. And yes, Russia was trying to do that. How to find these documents? SunForge. If you go to, they should still be there unless the page is down, whitehouse.gov. Election integrity documents are available to review. Look, it popped up on its own. View documents, okay? It's going to bring you to this page. I have no problem doing this. I don't care who you are. I want you to have access to these, okay? It's going to bring you to this page. You have his address here that you can watch. It's going to give you 4 different sections. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, it's going to give you what he said, right, what was on his teleprompter. And right here on the bottom of each segment is going to be a zip drive. Okay? Thank you, Kilo, for subscribing over there on YouTube. I appreciate it. So right here, a zip drive. Right here, a zip drive. Right here, a zip drive. And right here, a zip drive. Now, you might have to move those. I had to move them. I had to extract them and move them to my regular C drive because the pathway was too long, whatever techie bullshit. But that is the way that you can get access to those documents. So I have them. These ones I'm pulling off of Twitter from ones that I just wanted to highlight. But again, if anybody wants to talk about specific ones, I can pull them up there on my computer. Okay? But that is how you find them. Now, let's talk about this one because he talked about China a lot. Talked about China a lot. So let's talk about China. The NIO for Cyber and the Director for Election Threat Analysis assessed that Beijing has taken at least some low-level exploratory steps to undermine the president's re-election chances by, what'd they do? Denigrating him and shaping voter perception. So similar to what Russia attempted to do with Joe Biden, denigrating him and pushing propaganda. Their assessment differs from the IC's judgment that Beijing has considered but not deployed influence efforts to affect the presidential election. So the NIO for Cyber and the Director for Election Threat Analysis differs in their assessment from the IC that Beijing considered influencing it with propaganda, but not that they... it is on. Dr. Wolfstar is begging you to turn the lines on so you can call. It is on. Say. Thank you for calling the stream. Can I get your age, state, and who you voted for?
Oh, it's just me. Someone on YouTube said the phone lines were turned off, so I was just checking that. I guess they're just a bitch.
Yep, sounds like it.
All right.
Okay, bye. Thanks for checking, Eli. Appreciate you. So that's not really a big issue of difference, right? The IC is saying that Beijing did not deploy those influence efforts of propaganda, whereas the NIO is saying that they did. But again, not proof of any kind of fraud. It would just be them doing propaganda. The NIO and DETA assess that Beijing's efforts probably have included overt messaging, nascent online covert influence capabilities, diplomatic measures, and the use of economic leverage. Similar to what we saw in Russia, right? If you read the report, okay, you would have seen where Russia was creating Facebook profiles and pushing that kind of propaganda. They were doing it on Twitter at the time as well. So if Beijing was doing that, it would look similar to that. They assess that these efforts probably have not included the use of Beijing's most aggressive options for influencing or interfering with the election. So they have further options they could have done to influence, and they chose not to. That is the IC and the NIO and the DETA agreeing on that, because Beijing wants to minimize the risk of blowback and hopes to stabilize the relationship after the election. The NIO and DETA have low to medium confidence in these assessments. Now we have this one. That was the Russian government again. We read that. So, where's this big bombshell that was supposed to be dropped? Where's the big bombshell? Okay. I have one more document. This is on the... Somebody tweeted it saying we should hang it in the Smithsonian, which I kind of love, to be honest. Oh, crap. Button gets sticky. There it is. We assess that vote tabulation systems would be difficult to manipulate on a wide enough scale to compromise election results. The system and each voting location are not connected to the internet. And then the document would continue. I'm just going to read that again. I want you to listen with your listening ears and pay attention. Crisscross applesauce, spoons in the bowl, and listen, please. We assess that vote tabulation systems would be difficult to manipulate on a wide enough scale to compromise election results. Uh-oh! SpaghettiOs! That didn't work out like you thought, did it? W's to ACK for the $5 super chat. I appreciate you. Said, thank you very much. Always appreciate you, Big W mods. Yeah, they're having a blast in there. I'm not even going to lie that I haven't really looked at the chat because all I keep seeing is them getting their their right to speech taken away in my chat, which they don't have a right to speech in that chat anyway. So, didn't say it could still happen, though. What's that supposed to be? Thank you for calling the stream. Can I get your age, state, and who you voted for?
Nah.
Then why'd you call? Nah. Okay. Good for you. Let's do this one, and then we will continue. That darn button. Stop sticking. There. My goodness. I'm gonna have to move that button just because it's being such a pain in the butt. Just move it over. All right. So now I'm going to do a little bit of local reporting. As we talked about, since you guys don't like CNN, maybe you'll like Kyle Clark, but I doubt it. I doubt you will like Kyle Clark. But can I get W's to Steph, please? Huge W's to Steph for the $10, saying, how did we not finish the Randy Ban pool yesterday? I don't know. We just didn't. But, clip that, no. But W's to Steph for completing, that's the different one. Where's the other one? There it is. W's to Steph for completing that out. I can get rid of that now. I'm just going to hide it. Randy is banned. So let me... And I'm going to write it in big, bold capital letters because Randy is weird. By the way, this is just a side note of fun. It really has nothing to do with anything. Oh! I'm not saying shit. So I kept hearing about... I hadn't caught up on RTP from Tuesday. And I kept hearing about a PTSD or trauma-inducing, I apologize, not PTSD, but trauma-inducing call that RTP had with a gentleman named Randy. And I was like, no, it couldn't be, could it? There's no way. It was. It was the same motherfucker. It was the exact same motherfucker. He got embarrassed as fuck on RTP streams. That's fun. We love that. No, I'm not going to stop crying about a man who literally called me 3 days in a row without an argument, was calling me, condescendingly calling me names, hitting on me when I told him no thank you, and then even called in on a different number when I hung up on him, pretending to be a woman to then tell me that it was him calling. So no, I will not stop crying over men being fucking weird. Not going to do that. W's to you guys for banning Randy. I appreciate it. So guys, in YouTube chat, if you do see it is Randy Dover, I know is his username. I'm pretty sure Justin took care of that. But if you see him show up and he claims that it is him again on a different account, you can get rid of him. And if he calls in on different numbers, I'm just going to be sitting in on a blocking spree. That's going to be fun. And if I have to turn him into Google Voice, I will turn him into Google Voice 3 times on the 3rd day. Yes, true. All right. Back to politics and this bullshit. You guys didn't want to listen to CNN fact check about the voter rolls. The voter rolls are public information that in many states you can request to get access to. Okay? And pay a fee to do so. But if you don't want to believe CNN saying it, well, Kyle Clark will talk about it in a local sense since I live here in Colorado.
President Trump used a primetime address tonight to rehash his debunked election claims, complaining again that he won the 2020 election and threatening the broadcast licenses of NBC and ABC for not airing the speech live. Trump said his administration is unclassifying never-before-seen documents on election security.
Devil Dog, you said going to be funny when he makes a fool out of all of you. What if he is right? Right about what? With what evidence, Devil Dog? That's all I've ever asked you guys for. Evidence. Here we are, 6 years later. Nothing.
Analysts and experts poring over those released documents tonight are not finding anything revelatory, nor did Trump say that there is evidence of a single vote being changed. The documents do include references to Colorado's voter registration rolls being, quote-unquote, compromised by China. That's a misleading claim given that Colorado's voter registration rolls are publicly available for anyone to download. In fact,
oh no! Oh no! What? China hacked Colorado's voter rolls, except that you can access them online. You can download them. Oh, okay.
The declassified documents out tonight make clear that what somebody in China did was not a hack. They just downloaded Colorado's publicly available voter rolls. President Trump has been punishing Colorado for using mail-in ballots, which Trump again said tonight are, quote, inherently corrupt. Trump himself votes by mail.
I was going to interrupt Kyle to say it, but why would I interrupt Kyle? He does such a wonderful job himself.
President Trump has been punishing Colorado for using mail-in ballots, which Trump again said tonight are, quote, inherently corrupt. Trump himself votes by mail in Florida. And while Trump did not offer evidence of his election fraud claims, he did issue a direct threat to the news networks that did not air his grievances, saying the networks are part of an election fraud plot.
In a rare move, NBC and ABC Fake News have both said that they would not cover this speech. They knew what it was about because of the fact that they don't like the topic, because they know how corrupt our system is and they don't want to reveal it.
It's not rare. Again, we covered this. It's not rare. There was an immigration speech that Obama gave in 2014 that they did not air on broadcast channels. And there was I don't remember what year it was, but there was a speech on democracy that Biden gave that they did not air on all broadcast channels. So no, it's not rare. They just didn't want to waste their time and they don't want to get sued.
Others in the media are part of a plot. They want to continue.
You can't be mad at a network for not running reruns, especially if those reruns are not on syndicate.
This fraud for whatever reason. They want to keep it going. Fraud like this should mean a revocation of their licenses.
Where?
Trump has expressed frustration that under the Constitution, the states, not the federal government, run elections, and he sought to seize more power for the feds over elections. Democrats in Colorado passed a law this year giving the governor the power to declare an election emergency should the Trump administration interfere with elections in this state.
WS. It's just WS in Colorado. Ah, stop it. I don't want. How do I keep clicking that? Every single day lately, I keep clicking that. No, why would I need to download it when I already have it? Thank you. Okay. And then this is, now you guys can cry again. They're going to cry because they've been real quiet during that portion. Now you can cry again because your brainwashing is going to come in. Ready? Bumper stickers and headlines. Because that's all you guys have. Thank you for calling the stream. Can I get your age, state, and who you voted for?
Yes, I'm Mrs. Applebottom. I'm calling from West Virginia.
Uh-huh.
And I'm 56 years old.
You want to try your real voice?
This is my real. What are you implying there?
That's not your real voice. It's probably fucking Randy, which is weird. Get help. Just get some help. Anyway, CNN, but we're going to talk to listen to me, apple bottom jeans, boots with the fur, West Virginia Mountain Mama. That is what I was thinking when they said West Virginia. Oh my God, Mountain Mama. Okay, but CNN has a Republican. Randy, go away.
I can't believe.
Okay, we'll just do this then since you can't. We're going to talk to a Republican election lawyer. Republican election lawyer. Ready?
As you listened to the speech tonight, what stood out to you?
What stood out to me is that there's still no evidence of a result of any election being incorrect. There still were not the documents. There still was not the evidence, although we'll see what's produced. I think a couple of things. First of all, the president says there are vulnerabilities in the election system. And it is not a perfect system. We have over 8,000 jurisdictions. There are inconsistencies between those jurisdictions. Elections are notoriously underfunded. And so if you want to fix the vulnerabilities, there should be a lot of federal money going out to states and localities to actually succeed in doing that. It's also kind of interesting the way he talked about China and the security vulnerabilities. After all, and this feels a little bit like an own goal, the administration has cut back on the cyber security agencies, CISA and the Department of Justice outfit that
Look, he said CISA. Maybe, see, CISA sounds better. Y'all can eat my ass. CISA sounds ridiculous. But Mia, W's to Mia, my lovely, lovely Mia. Mia brought this up last night when we were talking about it and going through the documentation, which is that the Trump administration themselves have cut funding, especially through things like Doge, have cut funding for CISA, which helps track the security and the integrity of our elections, and also other organizations that do that. they've cut that funding. Cybersecurity in way of anti-terrorism, anti-intelligence, right? Our counters, that's the word I'm looking for. Counterterrorism and counterintelligence on the cyber industry in the government has been cut, okay? And they've also cut CISA, which is the people who investigate and do reports on this. And now you're sitting here complaining that there might be vulnerabilities on something you defunded. Okay? Okay.
You want to fix the vulnerabilities, there should be a lot of federal money going out to states and localities to actually succeed in doing that. It's also kind of interesting the way he talked about China and the security vulnerabilities. After all, and this feels a little bit like an own goal, the administration has cut back on the cyber security agencies, CISA and the Department of Justice outfit that helps states, so that, in fact, if there is a problem with the 2026 election, it will be in large part because the defenses that are provided by the federal government to the states to stop that activity have been drastically cut back. So that's something that a bit of leadership would help on.
So maybe fund the things that you say you have an issue with, right? That would be the solution to the non-problem, is to continue to fund to ensure that it is as safe and secure as possible, even though CISA themselves have come out and said that 2020 was the most safe and secure election we've ever had. Oop, Mia's budget deep dive was worth it. Always, everything that you do, absolutely worthy. Devil Dog, what it sounds like now is cope, okay? You said, what if he is right? And I said, and I asked you, right about what? With what evidence? And it's going to be funny if Trump is right about all this. Make a fool out of everyone. It's going to be funny. It's going to be funny. It sounds like you're just coping, babe. Thank you for calling the stream. Can I get your age, state, and who you voted for?
My name's Carl. I'm 27, and I'm from Texas.
And who'd you vote for in 2024?
I voted for Joe Biden. In the last election, I voted for Harris. And you know, I'm with you on most of this stuff. I disagree with a lot of Trump's policies.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really just calling in because there was a proud trans woman that you clearly upset with Mrs. Applebottom, and you were being kind of transphobic.
And
I thought that this was a liberal program.
You knew she was a trans woman. How? I know.
Because she identified it in the chat. She said that she was being...
Sure she did. Sure she did. I didn't say anything about her identity, did I? So how could I have upset her for her identity? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, because I didn't see it in the YouTube chat. I would assume the YouTube chat, but I didn't see it. But I also did not say anything about her identity. I said that the voice, and I guarantee you it was fucking Randy. And that you're also probably fucking Randy. So cry harder. Anyway, so this is John Solomon, who is a conspiracy theorist reporter that Trump hired. Okay? Trump hired this man to investigate the 2020 festival. He also admits that no votes were changed. And he also says that there's no intelligence yet. This is what you guys all do. Thank you, Ari, for subscribing with Prime over there on Twitch. I appreciate you. Bye, Devil Dog. That just means Eastaboga is going to show up here in a minute. Again, this is a conspiracy theorist reporter that Trump hired to investigate the 2020 festival, and he even admits there's nothing yet. It's just cope.
We're not telling the president.
Did you acknowledge that there were no votes changed in 2020?
All I can acknowledge is what the intelligence shows, right? I only know the intelligence community has zero evidence that someone has flipped, that a foreign power flipped a vote in 2020, 22, or 24.
Oh no! What are we gonna do? What was it?
All I can acknowledge is what the intelligence shows, right? I only know the intelligence community has zero evidence that someone has flipped, that a foreign power flipped a vote in 2020, 22, or 24.
And you have you're able to acknowledge...
We're not through all the documents.
You're able to acknowledge that Venezuela has not tampered with voting machines in the United States.
No, the intelligence is very clear. They did it on their own machines. Why is it important that they did it on their machines? Their machine protocols are the same as America. Why? Because for a long time they did exactly the same.
And so the 2020 election was in fact the results as we, the American public.
I'm still researching, so let me.
I'm still researching because I don't want to say that. I don't want to say it. Thank you for calling the stream. Can I get your age, state, and who you voted for?
Hey, this is Jeff from California, 47. I'm just calling in because clearly you're being transphobic.
You guys need to get help. Do you want to listen to the news or do you just want to troll? Because there are places you control that are not it. I don't need to tell him. He knows. He's in the YouTube chat, Lynette. He knows he's banned. He listened to it. He heard it. I don't need to tell him.
Still researching, so let me. This is the first.
But there's no intelligence.
Not
You've
yet.
been on
Guys,
this.
he's gotta go.
There is no intelligence that the election would have said that Donald Trump was
The president
president.
said that tonight. Thanks, Chief. We're not telling the president.
So let's do I actually didn't even think about doing this, but let's do a little background on that man. Okay, let's look at him. Okay. John F. Solomon is an American investigative journalist, author, and political commentator. He's the founder, editor-in-chief, and CEO of Just the News, a digital news organization launched in 2020. Over a career spanning more than 3 decades, he has held reporting and editorial positions at Associated Press, The Washington Times, The Hill, and was a contributor of Fox News until late 2020. Let's go into here. However, he has also been accused of exaggerating minor scandals, creating false controversy, and promoting conspiracy theories. During the first Trump presidency, Solomon was accused of advancing Trump-friendly stories, including ones that questioned reports about women who accused Trump of sexual harassment. Ooh, yay, rape deniers. And who had also sought payments from partisan political donors. He also questioned the legitimacy of criminal charges against Trump's campaign manager, Paul Manafort. Cool. So even this guy, conspiracy theories, ready? Solomon has been described by some as playing an important role in promoting conspiracy theories about unproven allegations of wrongdoings in Ukraine by Joe Biden and his son Hunter. Solomon's reporting on the Bidens influenced Trump's unsuccessful efforts to pressure Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky into publicly launching an investigation into the elder Biden, an effort that ultimately led to Trump's first impeachment. So even this guy said no votes were changed and that it did not affect the outcome of the election in 2020. Cool. Try again. Keep going. What you got? Because Trump's got nothing. He's got nothing. This is Democratic Representative Himes, and he is talking about what the actual goal is. Now, this is important because I'll sit here and talk shit, and we can go through the documents whenever you guys read them, because you don't read them. But the danger is what his plan is to use it for. Since you guys just believe him no matter what he says, you guys do not read the documents that he gave you off of his website. Instead of doing that, you guys are going to run with this. And so when he decides or attempts to try to subvert states being able to hold their elections without federal interference, when he tries to issue that police state in order to take control of those elections, when he says that the elections are unacceptable because they lost en masse, which is looking like what is going to happen, is that they are going to lose en masse in a blue wave in November. And when he does those things, it is to set up to take over that power and be able to do it without you guys saying anything and you guys going, yep, because we knew the whole time based on nothing because we didn't read nothing. And that's the danger. And that's what Himes is going to tell you about.
I've been in this position for some period of time. I'm not an alarmist. In fact, I get a lot of guff for being a little overly optimistic and overly calm. But understand what happened tonight. The president was setting the context. He was setting the basis for him to turn around at midnight on Election Day and say, I warned you. I warned you back in July that the Chinese were doing XYZ and the Venezuelans were doing XYZ and all this terrible stuff. It happened tonight. I am deploying federal officers from the Department of Homeland Security to 7 states.
Looned Rebel, prove it.
They will be seizing ballot boxes in those states because we know that lots of undocumented aliens.
Thank you for calling the stream. Can I get your age, state, and who you voted for?
The Green Party.
Who in the Green Party did you vote for?
Jill Stein.
Okay. And can I get your age and what state you voted in?
I'm 61 and I voted in New York.
Okay. Why'd you call in today?
Well, I don't support Trump. But I also
Fax Writers, thank you
blame
guys.
the Democratic Party for what's going on right now because they don't fight back.
How are they supposed to fight back?
Well, for example, Obama had a Supreme Court nominee, and Mitch McConnell wouldn't let the vote go through.
Is Mitch
And-
McConnell a Democrat or a Republican?
He's a Republican.
Okay, so what are Dems supposed to do to fight back?
They're supposed to stick up for themselves and say, listen, my nomination for the Supreme Court says it should be considered according to the Constitution. And Obama didn't do it.
He did. They did come out and say that they should put forth this nomination, but if the Senate chooses not to do so, what are they supposed to do?
Fight for it. It's a constitutional
No,
amendment.
actually, no. If the Senate chooses not to bring up that confirmation hearing and put it on the calendar, there is not much that Obama can do. So what was he supposed to do?
Demand that they do their job.
He did demand that they do their job, and they refused.
Well, then they should be held in contempt.
Sure, sure. You could impeach them, you could censure them, you could do all those things, but again, it was a Republican-held court, so I doubt that those were going to go anywhere.
He didn't even try.
He can't try. Congress would have to try, and they did not have the votes to censure or impeach Mitch McConnell for denying that nomination.
He didn't push for it, and
He did.
It's
It's interesting to me you would blame somebody who didn't have the power to do anything, but you don't blame Republicans or Mitch McConnell for doing it.
No, of course, Mitch McConnell's also to blame, but
No, not also, solely. Solely the Republicans in charge of the Congress at that time are to blame. The Democrats did not have the power to be able to do that. They did not have the votes to do it.
why are Democrats always so helpless?
They're not, only when they're not in power. When they're not in
They-
power.
Well, when Obama was president, didn't he have the Senate and the House and all that? He had everything.
He
Instead
had
of giving
a
us
he had, no,
universal
no.
health care,
How often do we, what are midterms for?
what are any election for? To elect people.
God, no, but midterms specifically, right? Because as president, you get one set of Congress when you are elected, and you get a completely different Congress 2 years later. Okay, so in the initial term, when he started in 2009, he had a slim majority in the House and the Senate. And after 2009, 10, 11, 2011 into 2012, that Congress was Republican held. And that's when the nominee was an issue.
Well, I still think Democrats can do a lot more, but they're afraid.
So let's go to right now. Let's not go to Obama then. Let's go to right now where the Democrats do not have power. What are they supposed to do?
Impeach Trump.
With what votes?
Well, you got Thomas Massey, for example. They're not
Yes, I
trying.
know. No, they have. You know that they've introduced impeachment articles, right?
They introduced it, but they have to rally. And
What
get
happens
people-
after you introduce impeachment articles?
What happens after that? You have to wait
You have to wait
to
for
get
what?
a vote.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And whose job is it to bring that vote to the floor?
Well, then the whole system's messed up.
Sure, that's fine, but then don't sit here and blame Democrats when Mike Johnson refuses to bring up those article impeachments for a vote on the floor in the committee. It will not come out of committee.
Okay, so
Okay.
Okay, fine, but you know something, I still think Democrats do not push it far enough. They are so far
What
into
are they
corp-
supposed to do?
Stop taking corporate money, first of all.
Sure, totally agree. I agree. I think we
And
should
stop-
get rid of Citizens United. I think we should have ranked choice voting, and I think we should get all money out of politics in that way. Absolutely, I agree with you.
Okay, so how do we do that?
You vote for progressive candidates who can get that done, not political cicadas that leave to Russia every time they lose.
Okay, so again, it's like, well, whatever. We're going around in circles, but I appreciate your time.
I appreciate you being civil. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
Anyways, I've got all you could want here, all you could need here. Okay, let's go back to Representative Himes. Thank you so much, Paul's Life, for the jewels. I appreciate you. Look, I don't even like Democrats. Don't make me do that. Don't make me do that. I don't even fucking like them. By the way, W's. Welcome in, Facts Raiders. I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much for the raid. Welcome in. I apologize that you came into that. We have been, and I'm sure Facts was covering it as well. We were covering the speech last night. I did stream it. I think Steve did as well. But we were just going over some of the documents. I have been waiting for any kind of actually intelligent, I know I say that, Trump supporter to try to reference a document that proves anything that Donald Trump is claiming, and yet they can't do it. I have all the documents on my computer, and yet they cannot find that. So we are going into what the danger of that is, which is what Representative Himes is speaking about, which is a federal subversion of power over the states. That is where the danger is going to lie. So Representative Himes is talking about that.
Officers from the Department of Homeland Security is to 7 states. They will be seizing ballot boxes in those states because we know that lots of undocumented.
Also, real quick, sorry, I'll go back and we'll play it one more time. I apologize. But W's to you guys for hitting 100,000 likes. I appreciate you so very much. We are here for about an hour and 45 minutes more. So I know that we should be able to hit that 300,000 that I think we can hit if those taps keep going. So thank you guys so very much. I appreciate you, and make sure that we are doing that over there on YouTube. If you have not hit that thumbs up button, 156 of you over there, I would appreciate it if you do. Please hit that thumbs up button for me. It is helpful to me in this stream. Thank you.
That the Chinese were doing XYZ and the Venezuelans were doing XYZ and all this terrible stuff. It happened tonight. I am deploying federal officers from the Department of Homeland Security to 7 states. They will be seizing ballot boxes in those states because we know that lots of undocumented aliens voted in those things. So we are seizing ballot boxes. Now, Lawrence O'Donnell, what happens when all of a sudden we've lost the chain of custody of 70 ballot boxes in critical? That is the moment in which American democracy dies. Make no mistake, what happened tonight.
What's the defense against that?
The defense against that is what I'm trying to do tonight, which is that the American people need to understand, as much as you may love Donald Trump, as much as you may hate the Democrats, there is something that we care about more than our party affiliation, and that is the preservation of our democracy. And part of the energy you're hearing from me tonight is the fact that I was one of the last people out of the chamber of the House of Representatives on January 6, 2021. I saw our democracy come this close to ending. And the energy you're hearing from me tonight is that I see the path. And this is the moment for every American to go to whitehouse.gov, as the president asked you to do, to look at the China section, to read the report. By the way, John Radcliffe, old friend of mine, runs the CIA right now, right? Old friend of mine, current friend of mine. Please read his statement. Read his statement on Twitter. It says, we provided documents. Every American should look at those documents. Nowhere in John Radcliffe, the president's guy running the CIA, in his statement does it say, and I agree with everything the president said tonight. You know why it doesn't say that? Because he doesn't.
Jim Himes,
So Jim Himes is doing what I'm asking you guys to do. Somebody in YouTube chat said that, yes, I do read Twitch chat. Somebody in the YouTube chat said that I am a child of indoctrination. Again, all I am saying is go read the documents for yourself. You guys won't do that. But just to end this section before we move on to other matters, I just want to remind you all of the true influencer subverter of the festival in 2020.
So, look, all I want to do is this. I just want to find 11,780 votes.
What was the president asking you to do?
He was asking us to recalibrate or recalculate, I believe it was, recalculate, somehow get a different answer. But I'm an engineer, and anyone that's good with numbers knows you can calculate all you want, but the numbers are the numbers.
So what are we going to do here, folks? I only need 11,000 votes. Fellas, I need 11,000 votes. Give me a break.
But the words used by the president and the president's chief of staff, give me a break, cooperate, compromise. Were they asking you to join them in a conspiracy?
I guess maybe they were just trying to intimidate me and cajole me into something. It wasn't going to happen.
So,
and as Lunati points out, that guy, not him, that guy is a Republican. Just in case you didn't know. I believe the man who was in charge of the audit in Arizona was also a Republican. I really need to set up weekend movie nights in the Discord. I think I'm going to start setting that up. I should be able to. There's no reason why not. I would just have to talk to my brother about using his setup here, but Shouldn't be an issue. Because there are things we need to watch. We need to watch Stop the Steal on Max. We need to watch January 6th on Max. And I think that if it's difficult for people to be able to get access to those, since I have the privilege of having the access to those, I think that I should share them with people in my Discord who want to watch them. So we might look into that because it is ridiculous. This information is in front of your face and you just refuse to see it. Somebody is yelling that they have the documents and what are you talking about? I don't know. Which one are you talking about? Which one proved anything that he said that would have affected the outcome of 2020? That's what I'm waiting on. That's what we have been waiting on for 6 years. 6 years for proof that there was anything that directly affected the outcome. And for some reason, you guys can't seem to give me that. Sorry, looking for, sure, we'll do that one because I don't know. That works. All right. Did I want to get, Let's talk about this, though. Last night, oh no, I forgot. Last one, I forgot about this tweet I wanted to share, which was Bernie Moreno's tweet. Now that we've gone through that and debunked all that, and you guys were here and listened to that speech, this was Bernie Moreno before the speech last night. I was just briefed by the White House on what to expect this evening. I would encourage every American to tune in tonight to the president's speech. This may be the most important Oval Office address since the Cuban Missile Crisis. The time for complacency with China is over. I'm sorry, was that the most important Oval Office address since the Cuban Missile Crisis? Was it? Just have to show you guys that. But anyway, Donald Trump had a different person running his teleprompter last night. Why? Well, White House teleprompter operator made more than $100,000 betting on Trump's speeches. President Donald Trump's longtime teleprompter operator is believed to have made tens of thousands of dollars by placing bets on more than a dozen of Trump's speeches on the prediction market Kalshi. Federal investigators with the Commodity Futures Trading Commission found sources familiar with the matter told ABC News. Gabriel Perez, a technical assistant to the president who has been operating Trump's teleprompter since 2016, is in talks with federal regulators to settle allegations he used his inside knowledge of the president's speeches to win more than $100,000, the sources said. According to the sources, Kalshi alerted its regulator, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, CFTC, to the suspicious activity on its mentions market, where users can bet on whether specific words, phrases, or topics are uttered during a public speech. Now that's a little bit fucking corrupt, seeing as he helps run the teleprompter and what Donald Trump is going to say. Our surveillance team promptly flagged and referred these trades to the CFTC, and we are cooperating and assisting regulators. Kalshi's head of enforcement, Bobby Denault, said in a statement provided to ABC News. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt told reporters on Thursday afternoon, following ABC News' report, that Perez had been put on unpaid administrative leave. Leavitt said she spoke with President Trump about it, and he thought it was a disgrace and made the decision himself to put Perez on unpaid leave. Because no, he can't bet on it, but Donald Trump can damn sure invest in the crypto market he effectuates. Why can you even bet on that? That's a good question, RH. What I would say is I hate betting markets. I think they need a shit ton of regulation. The kinds of things that they can bet on, that people in the administration, that people in Congress, regardless of political party, can effectuate and also bet on, I have enormous issue with. This should not be allowed at all. Leavitt said she was unaware of any other White House staffers who have made such trades. So I'm going to say, yet. The White House has strict ethic guidelines that we expect all staffers and officials to follow, said White House spokesperson Davis Ingle when contacted by ABC News. So this is Gabriel Perez. It's funny because actually when I have watched speeches for Donald Trump, we'll have it on because he's always late, right? So we're just like waiting. And I have seen this man come up and like stand up to do his like the height of the president, to like check the corners. Like I've watched him set up these teleprompters. I have watched this man. So it's just, it's just kind of like one of those things where you're like, I've seen you. Didn't know you were doing that, but wow. A spokesperson for the CFTC declined to comment. In addition to February's State of the Union address, sources said CFTC investigators discovered that Perez placed bets on more than a dozen Trump speeches over a 3-month period, including a December primetime address, a January speech at the World Economics Forum in Davos, Switzerland, and Trump's remarks in March during a Medal of Honor ceremony. Later in March, the White House issued an internal memo warning staff against using non-public information to place bets on prediction markets, sources previously confirmed to ABC News. Now, by the way, just with this section, I just want to point out, do you remember how it was such a huge point of contention that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden used a teleprompter? I don't use teleprompters. I've never had to use teleprompters because I know I'm intelligent. I have the best words. Apparently not. We all knew you were running a teleprompter, so no, why would I answer you? Perez has served as one of Trump's teleprompter operators since Trump's first presidential campaign. Of all Trump's closest aides, sources say Perez typically has the final eyes on nearly all of President's prepared remarks and is often known to take last-minute edits from Trump himself. He previously came under scrutiny by congressional and federal investigators over the edits that were made prior to the delivery of Trump's remarks surrounding the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol. Trump is known to frequently deviate from his prepared remarks, as he himself often acknowledges. It's the weave. Really, it's him losing his way. You know, when you go up here, you take a big chance. Thank you, DF25. I appreciate you. You know, when you go up here, you take a big chance, especially me, because I go off teleprompter about 80% of the time, Trump said during remarks in January to the Detroit Economic Club, another speech federal investigators believe was among those Perez betted on. In certain instances, investigators uncovered times when Perez would back out of certain bets mid-speech, when Trump skipped over a portion of the speech that included a word he had previously bet would be mentioned, the sources said. So in the middle of it, he's running a teleprompter on one hand and his phone in the other and saying, oh shit, he didn't say it. Okay, let me take that bet off. My God. According to sources familiar with the investigation, Perez sat for an interview with regulators in recent months and acknowledged some of the trades. At some point during the investigation, the sources said the CFTC alerted federal prosecutors in Manhattan who declined to open a criminal investigation. Chinese espionage page journalist who write... No, where was proof of that? Hard right. Which document showed proof of that? I obviously hung up on you for a reason, so why do you keep calling?
Why did you assume?
Okay, I didn't. So... Hard right. I would like the answer to that question. Which file? I have 4 zip drives with plenty of files. Specifically, the Chinese, I would assume you're talking about the section about China. So can you show me which document says that China paid journalists to write anti-Trump articles versus there is investigation that they allegedly did? Can you show me proof that they actually did? Regulators at the, regulators at the CFTC have expressed a willingness to settle with Perez and have discussed terms with him that require Perez to give back his profits and refrain from making similar trades, according to sources familiar with the ongoing discussions. Kalshi has a policy against users placing bets on information obtained as part of their jobs. Last month, the company updated its policies to require users to disclose their place of employment. Why? Because this is not the first time. Not only this, but we had the man who is indicted and going to go through trial for allegedly betting on the capture of Maduro in Venezuela while also being a part of the coordination efforts in the actual execution of that operation. So that is why they are now updating what they're doing. Yep, that's what, Lanati. If you have information by virtue of your job or your employment, something that you have a legal duty surrounding and you have an obligation not to take that, misappropriate it for yourself, Denault told ABC News in May. So I'm waiting for Hard Right. Did Hard Right post anything since then? Nope, nothing since then. Not yet. The Department of Justice in recent months brought the 2 first cases of insider trading on prediction markets involving a special forces soldier who allegedly bet on the capture of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, and separately a Google employee who allegedly bet on user searches using internal company data. Both pled not guilty. President Trump has occasionally criticized prediction markets, but said in April that he supports them because the United States could be left out in the cold if the country does not allow companies like Kalshi and Polymarket to operate. Remember, it has been reported that Don Jr. and Eric are on both advisory boards for Kalshi and Polymarket, which are competing platforms. Hi, Lainey. Well, the whole world, unfortunately, has become somewhat of a casino. And you look at what's going on all over the world in Europe, and every place they're doing those betting things. I was never much in favor of it. I don't like it conceptually, but it is what it is. Last October, Trump's social media company, Trump Media and Technology Group, announced it was looking into launching its own prediction market offering. Do I have the story on the other one today? I don't know that I do. I don't, but I do have Levitt's responses. Before we get into Levitt's responses, guys, I appreciate you. 130,000 likes, so we are working there. I know we can hit 200,000 before we hit the top of the hour, so you have 30 minutes to hit 70,000 more likes. I know you can do it. I believe in you. I truly, truly do. We also have these little name shout outs. If we could get those accomplished, that would be fantastic. If you are watching and you have not hit that thumbs up over on YouTube, I would appreciate if you do so. And guys, I have 25 left in my goal. I need do you know you have 30 minutes? I have 25 left in my goal. If we could dollar train, $2 train, $5 train, we can get that knocked out in no time. Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, all in the link tree in my bio. Remember, we are crowdfunded here, and we pay for women's labor. So please help pay for my labor. This is my job, and let's get that done on this Friday before the weekend. I would appreciate it. So Levitt gets asked about this teleprompter story. Let's see what she says.
Talked a little bit about what the president might say tonight, but the other question is, who is running the teleprompter tonight after this report that the other guy is now under investigation for making money off of reading the president's speech?
Obviously, I'm aware of the report. The president is too. I spoke with him about it. He believes it's deep.
Lund, you said Democrats were shaking in their boots. Which one? Which Democrat? Because I talked about it for the last couple days, and what I said is that if they had anything credible, there would be indictments, not a press conference. So who was scared?
Unfortunate and frankly a disgrace, and the individual that was cited in that report is complying with the CFTC but has been put on paid administrative leave. So there will be a teleprompter operator tonight, of course, but it will not be the one, unfortunately, in that story.
One more on Iran. The vice
Which then they ask her another question, which they're not going to have the answer to because that's Iran anyway. And then let's go to more corruption. I talked about this when the New York Times broke the story, which was that the government was set to give a mining contract, so a government contract, so our money, there will be, just wait 2 weeks, our taxpayer money, to a mining contract to a company that was newly made to go mine in Kazakhstan, okay? What we saw was in the New York Times article that the company, which is called Kazakh, it's called Kazakh Mining Company, had its investors in it. And those investors are Don Jr. and Eric Trump, and also Steve Witkoff's children are investors in this company that then received a government contract from the departments that their father is in charge of. So they asked Caroline Levitt about that. This freeze frame is terrifying. That is uncanny valley than a motherfucker. Just breathe that in for a second. Okay.
It's time.
Caroline, welcome back.
Thanks.
Last year, the administration signed a critical minerals deal, mining deal with Kazakhstan for a little-known U.S. company. It was an agreement that President Trump and Howard Lutnick got tentative approval for with Kazakhstan's president in September. 6 days before the deal was signed, which was in November, the president's older sons with other partners took a 20% investment in a company related to the deal. What did the president know about his son's involvement in this arrangement, and when did he find out about it?
From my understanding, Maggie, nothing. I've spoken to the president and his family about this. They would absolutely never do anything that would put the...
Yes, that is the reporter who wrote the book with Jonathan Swan that I'm reading. That is Maggie Haberman. So what they ask, I'm going to go back a little bit. What Maggie Haberman asks, okay, is that his children are getting money from the government with which he is in charge of. Did the president know about this? I just want you to listen to where Caroline Levitt says he found out.
Nothing. I've spoken to the president and his family about this. They would absolutely never do anything that would put the president in a place of a conflict of interest. And we have timelines to give you and to provide you, which we did to the news media at the time when this story broke, to prove that very point that I just made.
Sorry, just 1 second. So the president did not learn about it until it was in the media? That was when he found out?
That's my understanding of the matter, yes.
The president did not find out about his sons getting government money in an investment in a company they newly made and invested in until it came out in the media. A bullshit. A bullshit. Bullshit. Lund Rebel, you did not answer my question. And my question was, which Democrats were shaking in their boots? Because I have yet to find one, which means there was not anything to hide. And you pivoted to Minnesota fraud. What do you know about Minnesota fraud? Because Minnesota is the one video we did not watch the entire thing of Nick Shirley, but we did watch clips of it and we did watch news stories afterwards. We covered Amy Bach, who was the ringleader of the Feeding Our Future scandal, which, by the way, she was arrested prior to this. She was just sentenced to 42.5 years in prison for her fraud. And there are currently litigations going of about 80 to 90 other people in regards to fraud that has been being investigated since Trump's first term, and arrests were made during Biden's administration because at a state level, they did see what was going on and they were doing that. So which fraud do I not talk about? I played the entirety, much to my community's chagrin. They absolutely cannot stand me for this, but I played the entirety of Nick Shirley's video in California, where we talked about the fact that Nick Shirley was 4 years late to that story because in 2022, California stopped issuing hospice licenses because they saw that there was obviously an issue in the amount of companies popping up that issued hospice insurance. And so they stopped issuing those licenses 4 motherfucking years ago and were investigating the companies for fraud already before Nick Shirley did anything. But we still watched the entirety of the video. We watched the entirety of the video of Nick Shirley going to Cuba. The one we have not watched yet is his New York one. But we have watched the entirety of the video of him going to Cuba, where he tried to say communism is tearing Cuba apart, while at the same time openly saying that the embargo is making it difficult for them to do anything. And now Cuba, by the way, people are dying because they are without power. So what have I not discussed? Because I have discussed all of it. Anyway, can I get W's to Jumar? W Jumar for the $2. Choo-choo train. Choo-choo. Thank you. He said, Levitt, back at it with the fucking lies. Yeah, nobody missed her, Jumar. Nobody fucking missed her at all. So, that's great. But if you could answer my question, Lund, about which Democrats were shaking in their boots, yeah, I would appreciate it if we did that. Cool. All right. Ooh, I just have to cover this one. Do I cover this one now or do I cover it in this section later? See, that's my problem, Kayla. As though I have sections, but it doesn't always mean that it gets to where it needs to get to. W's to that Schnee for the $19.99 super chat. W's to you. Thank you so much. He said, there's only one thing I hate more than lying, skim milk, which is water that's lying about being milk. You know, that's fair. That's fair. I am a whole milk gal myself, which is actually funny. I have lactose intolerance, but if I drink whole milk during the day, bad. If I have it at night with cereal, I'm fine. Don't know what that's about, but that's what happens. Oh God. Yeah, Kayla, I'll have to make that a sticker. That is terrifying, but it has to be a sticker and an emote now. All right. So let's go to... I can't stand you. Can I get W's to Kayla for the $2? Choo-choo. I think you said the word wrong. It's Democrats. Thanks. I love you. W, Kayla, you're right. Because a lot of people don't know dumb has a B in it. A lot of people don't know that dumb has a B in it. And I replaced the letter. I was just one letter. It was brilliant. Just one letter. I took out the E and I put a U and it's Democrats. I'm brilliant. I have the best words. All the best words. Okay, let's go to your guys' favorite subject, which is going to be something you also don't know about, which is immigration. So let's move to immigration. We already covered this past week the deaths, again, by ICE. One who was undocumented but not the target. They admitted he was not the target. And the other one who was he had legal status to be here in the United States. But let's go to a representative. This is Representative Norman, who's being asked that if ICE agents need to be more in control, if there needs to be regulation on what they do. And of course, Representative Norman is going to taint Glaze because that's what they do.
The rule committee tonight.
Can I get your reaction to the ICE shooting?
Harsh, you're already crashing out. He said, try going into any country illegally and report back and win. We will wait. Which country am I going into and what are their immigration laws? I am talking about our immigration laws, aren't I? Yes.
The rule committee tonight.
Can I get your reaction to the ICE shooting in Maine today?
I hadn't heard about that.
You'd heard about that? There was someone was shot by ICE agents in Maine earlier today?
I have not. No, I hadn't heard that. I don't know the details on it.
As the body count for ICE continues to rise, do you regret voting to fund them without any sort of accountability measures or any riders to make sure that they behave in good faith?
ICE agents are here to protect this country and to get the illegals out. They need to be funded.
But they're
They are funded. And for some reason, even though they are funded, they are still killing killing people, killing humans, without wearing the body cameras that they were funded to have through the One Big Beautiful Bill Act and through the $70 billion reconciliation package that the Republicans passed on their own. They are supposed to be wearing body cameras, and yet they are not. Why?
Shooting people down in their cars on American streets.
The ICE agents are doing a job for the American people. They need to be funded. That's your opinion.
Well, no,
it's not an opinion. It is not an opinion that ICE agents are shooting and killing people in their cars. That's not a fucking opinion.
The ICE agents are doing a job for the American people. They need to be funded. That's your opinion.
Well, no, it's video
that's your
evidence.
opinion.
Why Wednesday and Thursday? Why wait until Wednesday and Thursday to decide if you're going to run, or to decide if you're going to announce for Senate?
Well, you'll find out Wednesday or Thursday.
Well, why not just tell us right now?
I'm not going to do that.
Can we get your
Not
reaction?
ready.
Can we get your reaction to the president dismantling last week the Election Assistance Commission and why you think he might have done that?
I don't know. The president's made some good calls, though. Trust his judgment. Thank you. Huh?
Just tank Glazin. Just tank Glazin, because he doesn't want to be primaried if he does decide to run for that Senate seat. But again, not an opinion. Absolutely, they are killing people. And I just don't like this idea. Like, we need them. We didn't have them for a long time. They didn't exist at the beginning of this nation. Don't think we need them. We did just fine with INS. Before ICE, we would do just fine with INS after ICE. So we do not need them. This is just a reminder of the callousness and the disgustingness. Okay, I just want to remind you, and I apologize. So trigger warning for a lot of this segment for anybody. If you need a break, because we are going to be going over stuff that is very, very hard to hear. This is Republican Representative Wesley Hunt from Texas. This was shortly after the death of Renee Nicole Good. And remember, he said just, what was it specifically? Abide by law enforcement, and you're going to keep your life. So the police state, the oppressive state of having law enforcement and army, the redcoats, in our cities, controlling our people, the very reason our nation was founded, because we did not want to have oppressive armies with weapons in our streets. Just listen to them and you'll be fine. The most anti-American sentiment I've ever fucking heard.
The bottom line is this: when a federal officer...
NATO, you said it's against the law to obstruct justice. I have asked this for a little over a year now, and I will ask again. In what way was Renee Nicole Good, or anyone that they have killed, in what way were they obstructing justice? Comply or die. Exactly.
The bottom line.
But remember, they are the Republicans. They are the constitutional lovers. 1776, baby. Oh, wait.
The bottom line is this: when a federal officer gives you instructions, you abide by them, and then you get to keep your life. And it is clear that she tried to use her vehicle as a weapon, mow over an ICE agent.
Now, this was before that last little piece of video evidence from the actual officer who shot her. And it was clear she damn sure did not, because her last words to him were, "I'm not mad at you, dude. It's okay." And she clearly turns her wheel all the way over to try to get out of what is a Enzo 2-lane one-way road. And also, yes, the sentence for obstruction of justice is not death.
And now she is dead, and her death is tragic, but at the end of the day, it was completely avoidable if she would have simply followed the commands of the ICE agents.
She does not have to. Now, here's the thing that we had to cover multiple times. With statutes, with legislation, with law. ICE agents have no jurisdiction over U.S. citizens. ICE agents, listen to me again. ICE agents have no jurisdiction over U.S. citizens. So, them trying to open her car door to get her out of the car was illegal. You do not have to follow illegal actions by law enforcement. You don't have to. She did not have to. So she did not have to comply.
The bottom line is this:
Correct. D, they do not even do traffic stops. If she was, according to them, remember, God, we have to go through this history again because you guys are so damn dumb. This is a 2-lane one-way. She wasn't blocking anybody. You could have gone around her. We saw cars go in front of her. We saw cars go behind her, okay? Behind her and in front of her. We saw that from multiple camera angles after this. Even if she was blocking the middle of the road and blocking traffic, ICE cannot do anything about that. What ICE can do is go, boop, 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 boop. Hi, Minnesota State Police. We do have somebody who is blocking traffic. Yes, cars can move around her, but she is blocking traffic, which I know is a traffic infraction. We would like you to come out and ticket her for that. That's all they would have been able to do. That's all they're in their power to do. They cannot stop her themselves. That is in law of what they are allowed and not allowed to do. If you can find me a separate section, that would be great. But you guys have not been able to do that. So, no. But they cannot pull her out of her vehicle. They might be able to detain her. They cannot pull her out of her vehicle. Try again. This is Jay Clayton. You should recognize him because we just watched some of his job interview where he got roasted by Jon Ossoff from Georgia. But he is being asked specifically about compliance with law enforcement. He's going to do what you all do, which is comply or die, police state.
A Maine ICE shooting victim was not target of the arrest warrant, Senator King's office says after earlier DHS account. I mean, we have, aside from that, as you heard Marianne, we have very little information on this because we don't think there were body cameras. They are still trying to get these body cameras because of the funding crisis they had, still trying to get body cameras out there. We just have very little information, and the people who are on the other side of this thing do not want to wait. They are going to condemn, Esther.
This is apparently the second ICE fatal shooting that we've had in 1 week. And again, the story goes like this. There's a driver that's asked to stop by federal authorities, whether...
Oh, I apologize. Not Jay Clayton. I apologize. Different Clayton. Esther Valdez Clayton, who is an immigration attorney. I apologize.
Marked or unmarked vehicles happened. We don't have camera footage, but we do know that the drivers refused to stop. It is a federal crime to evade and obstruct and hide from federal authorities. And
not ICE. Not ICE. Not ICE. Show me where that's the law.
That needs to resonate and be a message with the immigration community. There's several immigration organizations as well as immigration attorneys.
That's not what I said, Craig. I did not say go out and mess with law enforcement. That is silly. Why would I advise on that? I don't want anybody to put their safety at risk from these masked fucking thugs in the streets. That's stupid. I never said that. I never said go out and mess with law enforcement. What I did say, though, is that when you are out and about living your fucking life while these thugs are in the street, you do not have to comply with their bullshit because that's the law. And we have seen that in many videos where women are in their cars being stopped and told to get out of the car or supply whether they're here lawfully or not. And they say, I will not answer any questions without a lawyer. Am I under arrest or can I go? And you just repeat that over and over and over again. What do? They walk walk away because they have no authority to open your door and detain you. Thank you.
Attorneys advising immigrants to flee and hide from immigration authorities. This is not what happens. The only way you get to stay in America is if you're a legal, lawful, permanent resident or a U.S. citizen.
Well, apparently not, because the man that they shot the second time was legally here with work authorization. So apparently not. Apparently you're not allowed to be here if you're legal, because they will still shoot you in the fucking face in your car in front of your 3-year-old. So apparently not.
If you're stopped by authorities, save your life and stop your car.
Yeah.
Or no, fuck you, because you do not get to pull me over. You do not have the authority in the law to do so. So if you want to save your life, pull your car over, how about I be an American who loves the Constitution and say fuck you? That's what I'm going to do. So then this is Adam Mockler, who really just eats up a woman by the last name of Austin. And so we're going to watch him do that.
Yes, the DOJ,
every murder makes every headline
the DOJ
for
is
weeks
refusing
straight.
to coordinate with
And let me
local
also finish my
investigators.
point, because you said your point. I have never seen this amount of resistance towards authority. We have all, I'm sure, have bad interactions with cops.
Hold on. I want to hear her say that again.
I've never seen this amount of resistance towards authority.
Really? What about 1776? We've never seen this much resistance to authority. We've never seen it. Our nation was fucking founded on it. Our nation was founded on resistance of authority. You guys are saying J6. I think we should just go to the founding. We have never seen that. I'm going to get to that D. I have that. We have never seen this much resistance to authority. Really?
DOJ
For
is
weeks
refusing
straight.
to coordinate with
And let me
local
also finish my
investigators.
point, because you said your point. I have never seen this amount of resistance towards authority. We have all, I'm sure, have bad interactions with cops or agents, whatever you want to call them. You don't resist authority, and that's a
Well,
thing
you don't know
that
that
we
that's,
only
first of all,
see
you
now.
don't know that that's what happened
I've
here.
seen enough. You mentioned
Well, no.
Alex and Renee.
I
You
mean,
mentioned
look,
plenty of
I'm
people
talking
who were.
about-
In fact,
we're
I said that
we're
they were
talking about
resisting.
this
I don't think
incident
anyone
in
deserves
Maine.
to
Alex
die.
Freddie was not
You
resisting.
don't
Alex
resist.
Freddie was
First of all,
not
the guy had a gun. You
Wait,
don't
they
call-
took the gun off
That's
of him
already.
before they-
Oh my God, Alex Preddy had a gun. Second Amendment, go get her. Get her. Second Amendment. By the way, all skate, just so you know, there are studies that show that actually cussing is a representative that you have a higher IQ. Try again. He had a gun. Second Amendment. Second Amendment. Oh, no? Oh, okay. Sorry. I guess we're not doing that now.
Hold on a second.
First of all, the guy had a gun. You
Wait,
don't
they
call-
took the gun off
That's
him
already
before they
A.
shot him. You don't know
Yeah,
what
and
you're
he was
talking
in
about.
radical Facebook
You're saying
groups. I don't want to talk
you're
about
saying
any of
these
these
cute
people,
talking
'cause we're
points,
not
but
gonna
you just
agree.
said that because he's in
We're
a
not
radical
talking points.
Facebook group that it's justified.
Alex
you
goes,
don't
he
care about our
spits on
Constitution.
cops. He goes to protest.
He did not do that.
He states violence. Yes, he did. There's videos of him spitting
You
at
are
police.
currently
He goes
using
to
On the car.
talking
protest
points
as
to
a
justify
hobby.
murder.
No, I'm speaking to
He goes to protest as a hobby. So do I. I've been to 3.
my
Do you
opinion.
think the Martinez case that I mentioned from Chicago was bad?
I did not hear about that. If that's true, it's horrible.
Wait, do you think that
I
the
don't
cops
think
should be held
murdering-
accountable? Do you think the agents should be
Yes,
held
I think
accountable?
should. Do I think ICE should not now?
Okay,
ICE
so then-
is a
so
rogue
then you can
agency
condemn-
because that one ICE agent
Dude,
was
they
messed
violated
up?
100 court orders just in
Emily.
January. Just in
How
January,
many
they
ICE
violated
agents are there?
100
How many
court
ICE
orders.
agents
I don't know. You
exist?
tell me.
I don't know either.
They-
But
why
you're
would
saying
you
that
ask
it's
me
a
that?
rogue agency.
They
So you're
By the way,
saying
that's one of my
the
favorite
entire-
things that MAGA does. That is one of my favorite things that MAGA does. Did you know how many da-da-da-da? I was like, no, please educate me. I love to be educated on things I don't know. I don't know either. Why'd you ask then?
How many
Court
ICE
orders.
agents
I don't know. You
exist?
tell me.
I don't know either.
They-
But
why
you're
would
saying
you
that
ask
it's
me
a
that?
rogue agency.
They
So you're speaking
violated
now on behalf
100
of the entire
No,
group who's trying to
a
deport illegal
Republican
immigrants.
judge named Schultz said they violated 100 court orders just in January. That is more court orders than any agency in the history of America has violated. Do you agree with ICE violating those court orders?
No, ICE should not
Okay, so
violate
by
court
definition,
orders,
they're
but
a
ICE
rogue
as a whole,
agency.
you're saying ICE.
You
All
can
right.
use
ICE
your
is an
talking
Let me let
points.
Emily
4,000
have
people.
or Ashley have a word. Go ahead, Ashley.
Okay, but ICE are the ones getting in trouble with the courts. ICE are the ones getting in trouble with the courts. So, you know. So let's go to Tom Homan. So I don't have the headlines on this, but what we do know is that shortly after the second death in Maine, ICE came out and said, we're gonna scooch back. We're We're going to scooch back on traffic stops. We're going to work on that. Not as many traffic stops anymore. Not even a couple hours later, Donald Trump went on Truth Social and said, no, those will be going back and ramping up. And so ICE was like, well, I guess we're ramping them up again, even though we're getting really bad press because we keep shooting people in the fucking face in their car. But I guess we're going to do it again. So this is Tom Homan in reference to being asked about vehicle stops. And do we need further regulation? Do we need stipulations? Do we need to back off on doing this? What's the answer to that?
Will this change on vehicle stops lower the rate of deportation during the pause?
No. You know what? Let me address that.
Mr. Redneck Nurse, you said shot for having meth, and then you called me a slur. That's not the punishment for having drugs. Don't know if you know that. The consequence of having drugs would be prosecution, conviction, and jail. Would not be being shot. Try again. Again, you guys are the redcoats. You guys are the oppression force. You guys are the police state. You guys are big brother and big government. Don't ever tell me again that you want limited government in your lives because you want all the government in everybody else's life.
I'm sick and tired of reading about how the administration
And by the way, we're not even sure that that's what was in the car.
lost their guts with, mass deportation.
I'm gonna start this over, and I apologize. It is loud, which is great, but marble mouth Homan, because he has Trump's balls in his mouth at all times, it's very, very difficult to understand him. Hold on. But before that, because fuck him, I want to fuck her. Never mind. Hi, Nia.
Hi, you could have just stopped it as that he didn't like reading.
Also that.
But just a quick thing, because I know that white men don't like to acknowledge this. Law enforcement is statistically more likely to be trained to see brown and black people as a danger. Therefore, they tend to be more violent with them. Then you end up putting racist psychopaths.
Oh no, where'd she go?
Fucking Walmart vest because they could have never made it in the military. Probably because of their, schnazi tattoos.
Also that.
So those motherfuckers end up behind a gun in these agents, or in this agency in particular. And that's how we end up here. Another thing is when they were like, they're not targeting black and brown people. They're just targeting brown people. No, so this whole Haitian TPS thing, that's how they're going to start getting black people. Same thing with, there's fucking Afro-Latinos. But yeah, by the way, this is not fear-mongering. It's very much reality.
Well, yeah, somebody wanted a source. So this is investigation of the Memphis Police Department in the city of Memphis, December 4th of 2024. Let's go to page 5, because even right here, Memphis is a majority black city, but black people in Memphis disproportionately experience these violations. MPD has never assessed its practices for evidence of discrimination. We found that officers treat black people more harshly than white people who engage in similar conduct. Uh-oh. There's your source, Stephen. Go ahead, read it.
You know what we need to pull up? You can probably do it Monday or something like that.
Sure.
But there's I think it was back in 2020, when the investigative reporter went to a training facility and he saw even his bias, because if it was a black or brown mannequin, he was more likely to shoot, quote unquote, feel threatened.
Mm-hmm.
Where he would have lost his life because his ass was sitting there being oh, it's a white man, we're good. Come to find out. So we gotta find that video. Because that's exactly what happens.
Yeah, what they do is they train you in a way that is dehumanizing the black and brown population. And once you start dehumanizing people, it is very, very easy for you to do harm against them and more likely for you to do so. And that is a problem if that is something that is going on within our which we know it is, not if, it is. A problem with the fact that it is going on in our training facilities for law enforcement. So.
Yeah, so we're looking at, that's something that, so we're looking at targets. They've changed them a little bit more here recently, but like, for instance, when you're going to target practice or you're going to the range and things like that, it's typically a dark mass that you're sitting there going for. It's a dark target that you're going for. So automatically that's like, you think of the different things that are like actually fucking rooted in racism that would create danger. And when that's exactly how they get you, is they basically do these subtle things. It's like, oh no, that's not racist. But then when you calculate it up to being under stress and then reverting back to your training or your instincts, everything told you to go and shoot or be threatened by something that is darker colored.
Right. Exactly. Vincent, no, actually, not the slur. Absolutely correct. You can also read the Veil of Darkness study if you've never read that. That is probably a good place to start if you've never read anything on this. That would be a great place to start. Thank you, Kilo, for the $2 chat. You said she is looking for dark silhouette. Not sure quite what that means, but we know the cops are. That's what we know.
When I said the dark, like a dark mass,
right.
But yes, the silhouettes, yes.
Memphis DA wrote that the MPD is trained to be scared and shoot first. Is that in this findings report, Blue, or is that a different one? I wonder. I'm gonna read through this. That's why I'm keeping it. I'm keeping it here. I will source it in the chat, and I will read that later. Oh, he wrote an op-ed. Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get to do this week, but this is definitely something, and unfortunately, it ties into what you're talking about. But also, fortunately, because this is something that we wanted to shine a light on,
yes.
Mainly Blue. Mm-hmm. But yes, it's a matter of like, these are how people are trained, and we're literally telling you, like, if you're looking at the training and then you're looking at the statistics on when it comes to brutality, when it comes to targeting, all that stuff, it makes sense, but people will still deny it because they don't want to sit there and face the fact, because for some reason, can you stop? Because for some reason, being called, that's not how that works. Being called racist is more scary and terrifying than actually addressing what's being the racism that is causing you to be called a racist.
Correct.
I don't know what that is, why you're like scared of the label but not scared of the action or the system or any of that. It's weird. Get help.
So continuing in that vein, they asked Tom Homan if this will change the vehicle stops. Well, because again, they've backtracked on this because Donald Trump told them to. But when they initially said, hey, we're going to like do less vehicle stops, they asked him if it was going to lower the rate of deportations by doing less vehicle stops. I don't see how that would affect it because we're not deporting anyway. But Marble Mouth will talk about it.
Will this change on vehicle stops lower the rate of deportation during the pause?
No. And, you know what? Let me address that for a minute. I'm sick and tired of reading about how the administration's lost their guts with, mass deportations. And do you know June, last month, ICE arrested more aliens than any month in the history of the agency.
I would like to see a source for that. That's not a press conference, but okay, or a presser, but thank you.
People say ICE is not serious about their job. Last month, the most aliens arrested in the history of the agency, more than last year. More than when you had the FBI, ATF, DEA, Border Patrol, ICE all out there. ICE by themselves with their 287G partners.
Also, he had no offense. Like, I shouldn't do this, but like, that is a horrible, horrible head shape. I'm so sorry.
Had the most arrests in history of the agency. Now, were numbers down for a few months? Yeah. Why? Because the department was shut down. right? Agents weren't getting overtime paid. They weren't getting travel. I mean, they're
That's bullshit. That is bullshit.
They were the only ones getting paid.
That's literally, yeah, bullshit. When the government shutdown happened in regards to the entirety of DHS, remember the Democrats said they will fund CISA, the National Guard, and TSA, and that they would fund ICE and CBP, but only on condition, right? That they have body cameras, that they don't wear masks, that they have identifiable name tags on their uniforms, and the Republicans said no go. But the difference was that although the Republicans held it up, so people in TSA, people in CISA, and people in the National Guard were not getting paid, ICE was the only department still getting paid because of the amount of funding they got from the one big beautiful bill. So no, they weren't shut down because they were getting paid. What the fuck? You said good, N16, that's great, but then he lied to you. He just fucking lied to you.
Yeah, because that's exactly why you had ICE and DHS in the fucking airports, because they weren't paying TSA. Like, this is why these people were in the airports eating sandwiches, still not helping with anything that was going on in the airport.
To do airport security.
Exactly.
Like, God, this is so easy.
the most arrests in history of the agency. Now, were numbers down for a few months? Yeah. Why? Because the department was shut down, right? Agents weren't getting overtime paid. They weren't getting travel. I mean, the travel cards were maxed out, so they couldn't travel to operations. The targeting wasn't being funded like it should have been. So the department was shut down, so of course the numbers are shut down. And why did the Dems shut down the government? I'll tell you why, because I was in negotiation because of Minneapolis. They had concerns about things in Minneapolis. I'm not going to
They had concerns about things in Minneapolis. What happened in Minneapolis? That was so concerning, I wonder. Could it be where you fucking killed 2 people? Oh, concerns, just concerns. Oh, those damn Democrats caring about American citizens being shot and killed. We haven't even gotten to the ones, the immigrants in custody who have died.
a judgment call on everything happened in Minneapolis. That's why they shut it down. Every question, everything they wanted ICE to change and Border Patrol to change, come back to operations in Minneapolis. So, bottom line is, once we got the funding, numbers are going through the ceiling, like President Trump promised me.
You already had funding, so you fucking lied. You just fucking funding. Fucking droopy dog. Unfortunately, we're not done with him, and so I apologize for that. Hellman's going to talk about vehicle attacks are up. More people are attacking people with their vehicle. And they're like, well, no, DHS contradicts you on that. And he's like, well, I don't know. Guys, while we're sitting here, we have a little bit less than an hour to go. I see we're at 188,000 likes, and I appreciate you. Thank you guys so much, and keep tapping. So we're definitely not hitting 300,000, which is kind of disappointing because I know you guys can do it. I've seen you guys do it. But if we can at least hit like 275, 250 before we end today, that would be fucking amazing. So keep tapping and doing that work. I would appreciate it. If you're watching on YouTube and you have not hit that thumbs up button, I would appreciate it if you would do so now. If you have not already, that would be wonderful. And guys, I have 21 left in my goal. I know we can dollar train and $2 train to get that done. Can we please make sure that we complete that goal? Since this is my labor and my time that we are using up here. So
Oh my God. And if you want to sit there and exercise your racism, you can send double the goal to get me off the panel.
They gotta send more than that.
Have to consider where do I stop it, or do I wait till he stops, or should I approach him before he gets into the car? I mean, that's a 2-ton weapon. The average weight of a vehicle is 2 tons. So sometimes it makes sense not to let him get behind the wheel of a 2-ton could be a weapon when vehicle attacks are up, like I said, 3,400%.
Again, I would like to see the report on that.
Said he was trying to hit him with their vehicle and this. They said that he was fleeing the scene and they feared for public safety. They didn't say that he was trying to
Oh, DHS said he was fleeing. Okay. Thank you for calling the stream. Can I get your age, state, and who you voted for?
Michael, Independent, Florida.
Who'd you
21.
vote for in 2024, Michael?
Huh?
Who'd you vote for in 2024?
I didn't really vote for anyone. I'm just an independent.
I'm also a registered independent, and I voted in 2024. That's why I ask.
I just didn't vote for no one.
Why didn't you vote?
Just didn't feel like it.
Didn't feel like it. That's lovely privilege that you have. Why'd you call in?
I just wanted to say both sides are owned by Israel.
Not all of them, right? There are politicians on both sides who have never taken AIPAC money.
I know we need more like Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna. They're the GOAT.
Sure, I would agree with you. Unfortunately for Thomas Massey, even though I disagree with his policies, Donald Trump had had helped fundraise a ridiculous amount of money so that Ed Gallerin could defeat him in the primary. But you should probably take responsibility, especially if you said are you in Florida? Is that what you said?
Huh?
Did you say your state was Florida?
Yeah.
You have a primary election coming up. You should probably research into those candidates at the local level that are going to be even more important than at the federal level, and you should probably vote. Take that accountability as a voter and vote for the things that you want to see in this country. You do not get to have an opinion on it without that accountability of voting.
But how do I know that, like, the options won't just be, like, take money from Israel?
Well, you can look into their campaign funding now. That is all transparent information that they have to give out. So you can look into what PACs are funding them and what money is coming from behind them for that. And if you don't want to vote for somebody who is taking that kind of money, you don't have to. You can vote for somebody else, that you have options. But I would encourage you to do so. And then if you vote for them and they do something you don't like, you can vote them out in 2 years if they're in Congress.
All right. I guess so.
I would just urge you to look into it. I think it's important that you have the right as a voter, of a right that they are desperately trying to subvert and take away. I think you should use it.
All right. Yeah, I'll take a look into it.
All right. I appreciate that. Thank you for calling.
All right. Thank you.
Bye. I get so weak in the knees. All right. Back to Tom Homan.
I can't speak what DHS says. I'll say what I've always said, is that we're going to let the investigation play out and find out where it lands, because we don't know how many cell phone videos are out there. We don't know if there's city cams and telephone poles. I certainly don't know all the witness statements. I haven't seen.
Okay, but DHS, I love that he starts swaying on his feet because he doesn't know what to do. DHS said he was not trying to ram them with his vehicle. He was trying to flee, and they feared for the public's safety.
The statement from the officers. I haven't seen the statements from the witnesses. We'll let the investigation play out, and where it lands, it lands. If officers acted inappropriately or illegally, they'd be held accountable, just like they were in Minnesota. Several officers are now under criminal investigation in Minnesota.
Are they? Yeah, by Minnesota. They are under criminal investigation by the local authorities in Minnesota. Is the federal government doing any kind of investigation? Or did you just take him, and what you told us is that you took him and you put him on different operations in a different state? So I'm glad that you're praising Minnesota for doing the job that you're not doing. What's his job again?
Because, evidence showed some things were done improper. And I think Secretary Mueller is going to do the right thing. If officers acted inappropriately, they'll be handled. But let's wait for the investigation.
They won't, because J.D. Vance specifically said that they have immunity that they don't have, but he gave them that immunity.
To come out. And when you get back to body cameras, I'm full support of body cameras. I'd like to get them out as quick as possible, because body cameras actually show an officer's innocent like 88% of the time if you look at the stats. So that
again, source that
actually help ICE in their operations.
I agree. Them wearing body cameras would help in our investigation of these events. Why aren't they wearing them? Actually, because I can never remember. How much money did the OBBA give to ICE? $75 billion was given to ICE through the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, and then they were given an additional $70 billion, a couple months ago? So in that amount of money, the $114 million, they couldn't afford body cameras.
which was also supposed to be part of the negotiation of getting more funding, which they shouldn't have needed more funding because they were still funded more than like the frickin' Marine Corps.
Let's see. Congress gave
And
Homeland Security $20 million for the procurement, deployment, and operations of body-worn cameras.
yeah, so you want to, or you also want to say, like, because their justification was like, well, we are, remember, because they were being America first, that's why they needed to fund DHS and ICE to this extent.
Correct.
Because no new wars. And then on top of that, they then started a fucking war. And that's costing what we hit the trillions, I'm pretty sure.
Let's see, what was the last one? I thought we were still in the billions. Because they asked that, I don't think it was Zeldin. Iran war costs could be as much as $100 billion. Lovely. Wild.
My bad, that was my fake news.
That's why we always check, though. Unlike MAGA, who just says shit. So good for us. This is Republican Representative David Kustoff. And he's going to be asked by News Nation about those body cameras. Because you guys have hella funding for it. So where are they?
To some of these Democrats and some of the claims that they made, it is really dishonest and disingenuous, because I want to remind you and remind everybody who's watching, they shut down DHS twice. Okay, they shut it
But not ICE, because ICE still have their funding.
down from October 1st to middle of November of last year, and then during these 60 days this year. That's time that DHS and ICE could have used money for one thing that we all agree on, and that is to have body cams for these ICE officers and agents. I think everybody agrees that that should be done, but when there's no funding to pay for that, they can't have it. So we're learning more details. We will learn more details in the next day and the next days as it relates to these stops, and then we can pass further judgment. Sure, and they have, the money now. And DHS vowed that federal immigration officers nationwide would use those body cameras while on patrol after the deaths of Alex Preddy, Renee Good, but they were not turned on during the Maine shooting this week. Should there be repercussions for that failure to follow the rules? Well, I think again we need to know more of the facts. We will know more.
Yeah, and we don't know more of the facts because they weren't wearing body cameras that they had the funding from the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Stop letting them lie to you. Jesus Christ, this is stuff you can easily debunk. You want to read an article about it? Fine. If you want to go read through HR 1 and Control F to find the information on DHS's funding and ICE specifically, you can do so. Stop fucking letting them lie to you. DHS was the one. Kristi Noem at the time, now it's going to be Itchbay McMullins, came out and said, after the deaths of Renee Nicole Good and Alex Preddy, that their officers were going to wear body cameras to ensure that we had proper investigations into this and that we did not have rogue agents acting inappropriately. Obviously, they lied. And they continue to lie to you, and you just keep sucking it up.
I have faith in Tom Homan that he and the secretary will fully investigate everything that went on with both of these stops. But I think the main takeaway is that ICE and all law enforcement need to have the ability to make these traffic stops because they are in fact catching and apprehending bad people.
Oh, so now what he's advocating for is him admitting what I just fucking told you not even 10 minutes ago, which is that under the law, ICE does not have the legal authority to do traffic stops. So now Kustoff is advocating for that. The only way to give ICE that capability is through legislation. So thank you, Representative Kustoff, for admitting that they have no legal authority to do traffic stops, but that you would like them to. Love that.
Are in fact catching and apprehending bad people, some who want to do bad things, some who are here unlawfully and truly need to be removed from the country.
Well, please keep us posted as you learn more and your office is briefed, sir.
Also a really weird looking human. It's just a side note. So then, more into Tom Homan Marblemouth not knowing anything. He was on with Laura Ingraham. And Laura Ingraham is going to bring to his attention that, specifically, I think they're talking about Sebastian Guerrero in Maine, that that individual came in 2023, but he was given authorization for work last spring. So it would be under this department, okay, under this administration. And Tom Homan doesn't really have an answer to that.
Just another question. This individual came into the country across the border during Biden in 2023, but then he was given work authorization last spring. Explain to our viewers how that happens. That doesn't seem right to me.
I just found that out this afternoon. I'm asking that question. I'll get an answer. I don't understand it either.
Could it be that immigrants are a net positive to the country, and even the Trump administration understands that? So for all of Stephen Miller's racist propaganda of trying to get 1 million immigrants a year out of this country, for all their efforts that are only leading to mass detainment, that they are then having to let people go in the court systems where they are losing, for all their bluster, the Trump administration understands that immigrants are a necessity to this economy. And so they are giving them that work authorization. Could it be that, Tom Homan?
But here again, this young man is dead because he has been conditioned that ICE isn't a real agency. Ignore him. Don't comply. I just can't believe any member of the Hill is instructing people don't comply with law enforcement. So
they're not that kind of law enforcement, so fuck them.
You know, I've asked that question, Laura. I'm going to get an answer to it because I find it, you know.
Sure you are.
Strange myself, and we'll get to the bottom of it. But look, President Trump was clear in his message. He's not going to remove any tools from ICE to enforce the law. The numbers right now are sky high. The rest, I shared yesterday, June of last month, ICE made more arrests than any month in the history of the agency. We're hitting on all cylinders. We got our foot on the gas.
Democrats don't like that.
I'm waiting for the source. Besides a presser. That's the thing. I want to see the report.
Democrats don't like that. They want an open border and no deportations. That's what they want.
Ooh, okay. Thank you, Laura Ingraham. She is doing what you guys all repeat, which is to say that Democrats want no deportations and open borders. Can you cite me a current member of Congress that is a Democrat that says they want open borders and proposes legislation as such, and that they want no deportations? Can you find me one? Name me one.
It's their goal. They don't care about these migrants.
I don't care.
They wouldn't want an open border.
I'm not.
No, they wanted pathways to citizenship so that they can work here legally, you dumb bitch.
Well, I don't care. I'm not running a popularity contest.
TikTok, I was just kidding. I love you, and I didn't do anything to bully Laura Ingraham. Laura Ingraham is a wonderfully monotone person without any wrinkles in her forehead.
I'm there to make sure President Trump, who's the greatest president of my lifetime, by the way, who won the election to secure the border and enforce immigration law, we're doing it. Were the numbers down a few months ago? Yeah, the government shut down. DHS was shut down. The Democrats knew what they were doing. But guess what?
You have the funding
we got the reconciliation
They had the funding before.
bill. Now we're hitting on all cylinders right now.
All right, Tom, and
Did you run through $75 billion in less than a year? Because unless you did, you had funding even during the shutdowns. So what the fuck are we talking about? We'll try and finish this section out. So then Ingraham asks Homan about immigrants committing less crime. And of course, he pivots like all of you pivot. W's, though, real quick, to Oh Me Oh My. Huge W's to Oh Me Oh My for the 21, completing out the goal. You said the stupid from yesterday's calls still linger in my mind. Happy Friday, y'all. Lingers in mine, too. Listen, I thought I was going to have more fun with them today with Donald Trump's speech, and it actually is a pleasant surprise. Not even a surprise, I kind of knew. That they're quiet as fuck. Not one of you had a document that you wanted to refer to in regards to his speech yesterday. Not one of you have got shit, because Donald Trump had shit. So, you know, I thought I was going to have more fun with you than that, and seems to find out that you also knew that his speech was about nothing. So that's great. So that's why we're moving on to other news. So here's Laura Ingraham talking to Tom Homan about the fact that immigrants have less arrests and convictions for crime.
I just want to say I also love Oh Me Oh My, just because, like, you really take care of Monty, and, like, I can't wait to, like, physically take care of Monty, but, you take care of Monty, and I just want to say W's until I get there, you know?
Which I do want to say that RH in the Twitch chat, I think was the might have been the only person who caught what I said. Because I said, fuck Tom Homan. I said, but hold on a second, because I want to bring up...
No. Blue texted me, and I just went back, and I listened to it. I was like, yes!
I'm not repeating it, but RH caught it.
The results of that investigation, but we got a lot of Americans abused, dead, and displaced from the workplace because of illegal aliens, and Democrats don't care. But we want the facts on this. Democrats don't care about Sheridan Gorman's facts or Stephanie Minter's facts. Or, you know.
So now what they have to do is they know that the statistics are that they commit less crime per capita. And so what she's going to do is she's going to list the individual names to humanize, which is totally fine, to humanize victims of immigrants and undocumented immigrants who have committed crimes and specifically committed murders. Now, that should not have happened. People shouldn't murder. Shocker. People, including the state, should not murder other people. They should not take the lives of actual living, sentient, breathing humans. Should not happen, but it does, unfortunately. And when it does, you get the full book of the law thrown at you, as it should. But the stats are still the stats, and that per capita, immigrants commit less crime than U.S. citizens do.
Any of the other young women who have been abused by illegals, all they say, Tom, is, oh, well, illegals commit less crime than American citizens. To that you say?
They don't want us to arrest their future Democratic voters. That's what they believe.
That's not what they asked you. And also, what? If they're here undocumented, if they're non-citizens, they can't vote. So what the fuck are you talking about? But anyway, the stat, Tom Homan, the stat, oh, we're not gonna, okay.
They let millions of people in this country release from the country illegally, by the way, because they think the next Democrat administration is going to reward amnesty to who they think is future Democratic voters.
Donald Trump gave amnesty to Venezuelans a week before he left, or didn't leave, or tried not to leave, but he gave amnesty to Venezuelans a week beforehand, citing what the United States government had done to that country. Cool.
We're ruining their long-term plans. This is all about future power. It's not about security of the homeland. It's not about making our streets safe again, which President Trump is doing every day. Every criminal alien we take off the street makes this country safe again. Every illegal alien, non-criminal, that we take off the street sends a message to the whole world. There's no free giveaway here anymore. You enter the country illegally, you're going to be deported, you're going to be detained, you will not be released under President Trump.
So much fucking spit. Can't fucking take it. Two more with Homan. I apologize for that. So Homan makes threats, because that's what Homan's got. This is the guy that you guys are siding with. Big government, big brother, pro-police state. Just remember that.
But it all goes back to the Dems, who want to continually attack ICE and tell people to evade them, tell people don't comply, tell people to resist, and tell people ICE isn't real law enforcement agency. You and I talked about this 1.5 years ago, Laura. I said if the hateful rhetoric didn't stop, there will be bloodshed. And I'm saying it right now. There's still going to be more bloodshed unless they shut their mouth and let ICE enforce the laws that they enacted.
Oh, there's going to be more bloodshed. There'll be more bloodshed if we don't shut up. How about fuck you? How about fuck you? Yeah, and it's exactly that. What he is talking about, which I think I have that video. What he is talking about is that there are Democratic politicians and there are just regular humanitarians who are telling people their constitutional rights.
Here's my concern. You're exactly right. This all comes back to the Dems who are telling people don't comply with ICE. ICE is not a real law enforcement agency.
They're not. Not to U.S. citizens. They're not.
Here's how you evade ICE. Now, you and I talked about AOC a year ago. She says, well, I'm advising my constituents of their constitutional rights. Don't open your door. Don't.
That is a constitutional right. Do not open your door. You can tell them to get a fucking judicial warrant per the 4th Amendment of the Constitution. Why do you guys hate the Constitution? Why do you hate the Constitution? Blah, blah, blah.
Comply. You see signs at these protests, resist. And this is the problem.
Yeah, because you can. Because protest. Because First Amendment. Why do you hate the Constitution?
You need to comply with law enforcement.
They are not that kind of law enforcement.
They only hate the Constitution when it's the people that they hate being able to, like, you know, utilize the rights within the Constitution. Because, like, comply or die definitely sounds like a kidnapping.
Right. So, and then this was reported later. It's not quite similar, but it's just showing this environment of fear that they are creating, that even if this person is undocumented, even if they are illegal, you should be treating them as humans. And so things like this should not be happening. Man fleeing immigration officers in Florida is struck and killed by a tractor trailer, police say. A man running from an encounter with immigration and other federal agents in Florida was struck and killed by a tractor trailer on Tuesday, authorities said. It was the 3rd death in a week involving encounters with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement following shootings in Texas and Maine. The 28-year-old was among 4 occupants of a vehicle that stopped in the parking lot of a gas station and convenience store in the St. Augustine area before 7 a.m. During an encounter with agents from ICE and Homeland Security investigations, the 4 fled on foot, with one darting across a busy road into the path of the semi. Florida Highway Patrol Sergeant Dylan Bryan said in an emailed statement. The driver of the semi stopped and tried to help the man, Bryan said. It was at least the 10th death involving encounters with immigration agents since President Donald Trump launched his mass deportation campaign last year. It wasn't immediately clear what prompted the encounter Tuesday. In an emailed statement, the Department of Homeland Security confirmed it had conducted an operation and said the Florida Highway Patrol and Homeland Security investigations were investigating an incident resulting in the death of a Mexican national. The department did not respond to an inquiry from the Associated Press about the status of the other 3 occupants of the vehicle. State Representative Angie Nixon, a Democrat from Jacksonville, called the death a tragedy that resulted from an out-of-control agency. Whether it's ICE agents gunning down a father in the streets of Houston, shooting a young man in Maine, or conducting operations right here in Northeast Florida that result in a deadly crash, the outcome is the same: fear, chaos, and death. In 2 other cases, people died after fleeing agents and being struck by vehicles. Last summer, a man running from immigration officers outside a Home Depot store in Southern California died after being hit by an SUV as he tried to cross a freeway. Homeland Security officials said that 52-year-old Roberto Carlos Montoya Valdez of Guatemala was not being pursued by immigration authorities when he was struck. Then why was he running? In October, a pickup truck fatally struck 24-year-old gardener Josue Castro Rivera of Honduras on a highway in Norfolk, Virginia, as he tried to escape authorities during a traffic stop. Authorities said Castro Rivera's vehicle was stopped as part of a targeted intelligence-based operation and that Castro Rivera had resisted heavily and fled. The Mexican government on Tuesday said it had asked state attorneys general in the U.S. to review the deaths of migrants in ICE custody or during raids for possible criminal prosecution. And as we have talked about with Tom Homan, who has been asked about these deaths of immigrants once they are in ICE custody, he said, oh, well, it's still not as bad as the deaths of inmates in private prisons and public prisons, and to that we say, no fucking duh. Defund prisons and reform the fucking system. How about that? It's not an excuse.
Abolish private institutions.
I think you can abolish the public ones too. I don't give a fuck. But
Well, yeah, there's that, but that's very calming of you. No, like abolish the public or the private
Private ones, yeah.
institutions, because that's exactly how corruption happens. Ooh, I have a, yep. I'll just get on that later. And then on top of that, we want to also reform the justice system because guess what? We need equity throughout all systems. I know you guys don't know what equity means. Y'all think it means black, but it actually doesn't. Neither does diversity, but whatever. Y'all not ready for that conversation. And apparently inclusion is very divisive, so I don't fucking know.
Let's see here. I don't know if I'll be able to get through that, to be fair. No, we'll do that a different day. I do want to play this. This is literally just going to be a throw-in just to kind of piss MAGA off and make us laugh in case you haven't seen it, since we were talking about Nick Shirley earlier. If you have not seen this, is a part of an interview that Nick Shirley did with Alex Jones. No, not InfoWars, because The Onion now owns InfoWars because of suing and winning against Alex Jones for his false claims that the parents of children, babies, killed at Sandy Hook were crisis actors. So he lost everything. So he has to start over. But Nick Shirley went on his show, and this is what Nick Shirley said happened when he was at America 250.
You got approached by a congressman. You said you're willing to tell the story at the UFC this weekend.
Yeah, it was interesting. When I went to the UFC fight at the White House, a congressman came up to me and he said something that I had never really thought about. And he said to me, he's like, thank you so much for your work. And I just want to let you know that because of all the fraud that you've exposed, that essentially like the war on Iran has been free because of you.
Now listen, did somebody say this to him? Maybe. Who does The Onion own? The Onion owns InfoWars. The Onion owns it. They own the rights to it. Now, do I think somebody came up to him and said, because of you, the Iran war is free? Probably. Is that true? No, because he hasn't fucking exposed anything. And as we just looked up, the Iran war has cost us anywhere upwards of $100 billion. And there's no way in hell that anything that he Christopher Columbused was to that amount. Yes, the fraud that was already under investigation and already had prosecution happening.
Because of all the money that I've helped recoup and expose, and the money that's going to be saved in the future is in $200-300 billion.
Prove that. I would love to see that, Nick. Please?
Like it's in the hundreds of billions of dollars. Like this will not just impact this year. It's going to keep making
How much was Doge supposed to save us? Does anybody know? No. Okay.
impacts for, hopefully for the future.
That's kind of a backhanded compliment, though. Son, you saved $300 billion, and we used it for bombs. But good job.
Yeah,
our entire war. Son, your savings helped the emperor build the Death Star.
Yeah.
Now, the reason Alex Jones says this is because although Alex Jones is still a right-wing nutcase, he does not agree with the war in Iran, and he's actually been pulling away from Trump simply because his audience is pulling away from Trump, and he wants to stay relevant. Doge was supposed to save us approximately $1 bajillion.
So, he doesn't realize this, but Alex Jones is actually making fun of him.
Yeah.
And that's the funniest thing.
Yeah.
Like this is a very funny like experience for me. Because like he really thinks, I mean, just like he thought that he was being held captive by the lady behind the desk. Like he really thinks that Alex Jones is like, yeah, you're gonna save the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of interesting, but it did just put it into perspective.
No, it's great what you did. What they did with the money's their issue, but yeah.
Very interesting perspective. I was like, I've never thought about that. But I mean, if you think
Because he never thinks. That's just not something he does.
about it, for the years to come, the changes that they're making will impact next 10 years.
No, it won't. Absolutely not. But sure. Sure, Nick. I guess speaking in that same, did I have... Where was that? Oh, I know I have it later, but let's go to Russell Vogt real quick. I have a couple of videos on Russell Vogt, and while we do that, I'll see if I can find the other one. This is Warren to Russell Vogt, who was in front of Congress again, and Senator Warren is asking Russell Vogt how many investigations into companies were dropped because of their donation to Donald Trump? Because we have seen within the pardon systems, we've seen within investigations that are getting dropped, and it seems like off of a pay-to-play system. So what's going on with that?
Acting Director Vogt, how many of the enforcement actions and investigations that you dropped were against companies that have donated to President Trump?
We've made every determination with regard to supervision and enforcement without regard to anything other than
That's
the
not my
statute
question, Mr.
and the
Vogt,
charge
and
that
you
we've been
know
given
it.
at the agency.
How many have donated to President Trump? You've dropped 40 plus actions for companies. How many of those companies have donated to President Trump?
I have no idea because
You
I
have
never
no
looked
idea.
at such things.
Bennett, you said Elizabeth Warren is such a terrible person. Based on what? What makes her a terrible person?
I have no idea because
You
I
have
never
no
looked at
idea.
such things.
Actually, some of them were telling you. Toyota, for example, said, we've reached out to the White House, and it's a matter of public record, where they donated $1 million. So I've got a list here of companies that cut checks to President Trump that we know of. Apple, Bank of America, Capital One, JP Morgan.
Okay, that's my favorite claim. Supernatural. You said she culturally appropriated her career. Now, what I want you to cite for me, cite a source, please. I would like you to cite me a source that her indigeneity allowed her benefit in her career in any way. Prove that to me.
You want me to keep going on this? Toyota, Walmart, Meta, and that's just at the CFPB. In 2025, across federal agencies, the Trump administration dropped cases against more than 50 companies that we can document have financial ties to the president or to his inner circle.
Cool. So, pay-to-play system. We love that. I did find it. I want to play this one first. This is Senator Gallego to Russell Vogt talking about the fact that Navy Federal Credit Union had to pay back illegal overdraft fees, but that Russell Vogt tore that up so that they no longer had to pay those fees to you, to the people. Love that.
I got mine back. It's actually funny about the whole Elizabeth Warren claim over on the tubes, because over here it was just because we got the bad Peter still kicking. Isn't it Peter? I don't know. It's probably Piper. I don't fucking know.
I
But
can't remember his fucking name.
because it used to be still kicking Peter. Whatever the fuck. Anyway, he's like, they let her off, or I see that they let her off the reservation. So which one is it? Did she culturally appropriate, or or was she left off, or let off a reservation?
Right. Which one is it? Did she lie about her indigeneity to gain access to a career and schooling, or are you being racist to an indigenous person? Which one is it? Pick a lane.
Now let's look at how you actually choose to enforce the law. So Navy Federal Credit Union was caught charging its members millions in illegal surprise overdraft fees. These members are active duty veterans, DoD employees, and their families. I was once a young Marine. Every dollar really does matter when you're a young Marine. And the last CFPB ordered Navy Federal to pay a $15 million penalty and refund more than $80 million back to those service members' pockets. I think that's a very just outcome. But you tore up that consent order. Am I correct?
It was based on a decision of which the previous administration had put out guidance that was not lawful.
Okay.
So when the company was then penalized for it, there was no grounds for that consent order.
Did any of that $80 million go back to any of those veterans when you tore that up?
They paid their $15 million in the penalty.
They paid their $15 million, but the people that actually were ripped off by Navy Federal Credit Union did not get anything.
They weren't
the
actually
previous
ripped
order
off
would have the previous order would have given those $80 million back to the people that were ripped off.
And that would have been paid by service members into the Navy Federal Credit Union.
But right now, for a fact, we know that they're not getting the $80 million back.
The underlying issue is
your decision basically means that these men and women who are ripped off are not getting $80 million back because the previous order actually would have done that.
It was illegal.
It's not illegal. It was just, and you just basically tore up, and you didn't replace it by anything. So like these men and women are now left $80 million.
Because there's no authority to deal with overdraft fees, which, by the way, makes sure that we have overdraft fee protection.
There was an order specifically designed to bring restitution to these veterans that were incredibly ripped off, and you could have found another way to do it.
Money,
but
just a
let them
second.
continue to be ripped off. And
He just said, well, that's why there's overdraft fee protection. The fucking overdraft fee that they took is because of the overdraft fee protection, because you get a fee when you overdraft. The overdraft fee protection is literally so you don't get embarrassed at the register. It'll go through, but you still get charged a $20 fee if you overdraft, even if you're overdraft by like $1 and you don't have anything in your savings to be able to move over.
Well, now
So,
I
like,
remember that there was a piece of legislation under a certain person's administration that forbid banks from charging overdraft fees.
I have always been charged overdraft fees.
So, excuse me, not forbid them from charging overdraft fees. You are correct. I apologize. It was forbid them to charge overdraft fees over $35.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's what
And
it
then, so Navy Federals is 20. And the thing is, what they were doing is they would sit there and basically take it out of the, like, they would take the money out of the account when it was charged. And then basically wait, like, and then, but the available balance would be different.
Sure.
And then the available balance would be like further down than when you actually purchase the item. And then that's how they would get you. And you didn't actually technically overdraft. It's just the way that the systems were going through. At first, it'll show you an available balance, but that wasn't the actual available balance. And so that's why people were able to get their money back, because their timing was off or some shit like that. Like, it's really hard to like put it into words. But like, yeah, they were charged according to, or you were charged according to your available balance.
Right. Yeah.
So obviously you think it's available, but it's not.
I did want to go. Supernatural's having a hissy fit in the chat, saying that I ignored his source. So this is I'm guessing that this is the one, because this is what I found from ResearchGate, claiming Cherokee Elizabeth Warren and the problem of indigenous identity appropriation. This is a fucking op-ed, so that's great. But what I asked you to prove to me is that she used it to gain access to her career or her schooling. So where in this do I need to Control F to find that it did that? At a rally in Montana in the summer of 2018, President Donald J. Trump called out his potential campaign of 2020 rival Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren as a fake Native American, taunting her with the nickname Pocahontas. From the response, it was clear Trump had hit a chord with his conservative base that would prove useful at later rallies. Just like you're brainwashed. Congratulations. The crowd roared with laughter at the seeming absurdity of Warren claiming to be an indigenous person, in this case, a Cherokee from her home state of Oklahoma. Like baby back bitch McMullins. Although individuals with Warren's appearance and coloring are legitimately enrolled as Cherokee citizens, her personal background lent credence to the taunts. Challenges to Warren's claims to indigenous identity dated back at least 2012, when she ran for U.S. Senate in Massachusetts. In 2018, the Boston Globe began extensive research into Warren's publicly asserted identity. She had claimed to be an American Indian as early as 1986 on official forums, although she was not enrolled in the Cherokee Nation and had no social or cultural ties to any recognized American Indian tribe. As the facts came out, it became obvious that Warren's was an age-old story. She had heard family tales that she had a Cherokee ancestor in the distant past. Those stories proved the basis for her ill-appropriated indigenous identity. Although the Cherokee Nation lands are within her home state, she never produced any evidence that she had family or social ties to the Cherokees. Ultimately, the Globe reported that it had found no evidence that Harvard Law School or any other university had used her racial identity claims in its decision to hire her to its prestigious faculty. What was this supposed to prove? God, you guys suck. Read your fucking sources. Read your goddamn sources. Where'd you go, Supernatural? Where'd you go? You there? Where'd you go? She didn't ask me to call in. She asked for evidence when I provided. She moved past it, except I just brought it up on the screen, and it disproves what you all were claiming, that there is no evidence that Harvard Law School used her racial identity claims in its decision to hire her to its prestigious faculty. Try again. Okay, put that back. I did find the one that I wanted, which is an interaction that Tom Tillis had with Russell Vought in regards to Doge.
Tell me the one Doge initiative that you think is the best example of the work that was done before Doge was quiesced in CFPB, or you can go anywhere else, but just give me the best example of what you thought was an exquisite realization of value that came through cuts that worked their way through the Doge office.
Brian, you said, how about all the grants she applied for under her nonprofit, which she stated that she's Native American and on the applications? Can you prove to me that any of those grants were given to her because of her claims of indigenous identity?
Well, I do believe that the reductions in force as a tool.
Which specific one?
In general.
Yeah, but I want to get specifics. You and I have different backgrounds. Mine was in enterprise implementation. I did this for a living. And so I don't want a word salad answer.
Well, it's not word salad, Senator. CFPB, I'm trying to do a reduction in force.
But I'm just asking you across the board. Give me one best, because here's what I'm asking for. The Doge office has been quiesced, okay? But there were a lot of claims of billions and billions of dollars in savings. I simply want to know where you booked them and where I can see it.
I didn't run Doge, Senator.
You are OMB, right?
I am, but I am not Doge.
You do track to me, and when I worked in business and we had to implement efficiency, we got engaged to come in, do activity-based accounting, whatever was necessary to identify the efficiencies. Then we go to the CEOs and say, part of this is going to be a reduction in force. We're going to do this in a methodical manner. The number one thing we want to do is absolutely have a reduction in force that looks at our best and brightest, that 18 to 25% of the organization, and make damn sure that they don't get a "you're fired" notice. And then we would send out a reduction in force and an efficiencies program that does people, technology, and infrastructure. Give me an example of where that was done over the year that Doge was in place.
Well, I think the extent to which we
because
shut down
let me back up. The reason I'm targeting you is because I look at you as the guy who books the savings. After we work, let's say we work with whatever department it is, then we got the savings, we come to you and we say, Mr. Vought, this is no longer going to be a part of our expense run rate.
Oops. I know there was another one too, because it was like talked about. Let me see. As an example, actually.
Baseline run rate for expenses have gone down. Give me one example.
We have an appropriations process, Senator.
Sorry, okay. I was trying to find where we left off from where he picks up again. So we might go back a little bit.
Just that 18 to 25% of the organization, and make damn sure that they don't get a "you're fired" notice. And then we would send out a reduction in force and an efficiencies program that does people, technology, and infrastructure. Give me an example of where that was done over the year that Doge was in place.
Well, I think the extent to which we
because
shut down
let me back up. The reason I'm targeting you is because I look at you as the guy.
Shane, prove to me she received a federal grant because of her indigeneity. That's what I'm asking you guys to fucking prove, and you guys won't prove it.
Who books the savings? After we work, let's say we work with whatever department it is, then we got the savings, we come to you and we say, Mr. Vought, this is no longer going to be a part of our expense run rate. You can actually tell the administration that we can decrement that cost because we've cut the savings. Give me the best example of where Doge has done that.
Well, I have been saying in terms of...
No, because give me the best example of where a Doge initiative,
Senator,
once they completed the work, came to you and said, Mr. Vought, you should be aware that our baseline run rate for expenses have gone down. Give me one example.
We have an appropriations process, Senator.
I'm sorry?
There is an appropriations process. We have put forward a budget that's $160 billion in Doge savings.
I've heard a lot of people, including you, talk about the Doge savings. I've worked in the business world. My understanding is the last time you worked in the business world was at B. Dalton Books when you were putting yourself through law school. Good on you. But you don't have this experience, and a lot of people that were involved in this do not have this experience. I love the idea of Doge. But what I don't love is the idea of Doge shit that we're picking up because people did it wrong. I spell it with a $sign, by the way, Mr. Chair.
I wish he had a backbone before all this, but I'll take it now. It's fine. I will allow it. I will allow it. Then I only have Doge shit. W's to you guys on TikTok for hitting 271,000 likes. Holy crap. Thank you for hitting my goal, because I was going to be disappointed. I would still like to hit 300,000. I might go over a little bit because I do want to get to a section I've had for a while, which is, as we just watched OMB director vote, we had nominations. I don't even know if he went through. He probably went through because most of these fucking nominations go through, but this was a while ago. Is a OMB nominee Hal Duncan for deputy director of the OMB. So he would work directly under the OMB director Russell Vogt. KLR said Tom Tillis is a rhino and against the SAVE Act. No, he is an actual Republican. What you are referring to is that he is not MAGA. MAGA has destroyed what the Republican Party always was. Exactly. Thank you, Eli. Donnie is the true rhino. Tom Tillis is an actual fucking Republican. And against the SAVE Act, because the SAVE Act is a piece of shit, and he's not the only one. There are MAGA senators who are against the SAVE Act, which is why it has failed multiple times. There you go. She lied, Elizabeth Warren. Brian, he said, deposits go in at 3 p.m. all the way towards midnight. Then after midnight, all deductions come out of all accounts for whatever reason. You people have no concept of banking. Again, I asked for a source that any grants that she received were because of her indigeneity. You have not been able to supply that to me. So this is OMB Director Hal Duncan. This is Senator Chris Van Hollen. And Chris Van Hollen is going to cite the fact that Russell Vogt said that he purposefully wanted to traumatize federal workers and vilify them so that they would leave. So he wouldn't have to fire them. He just wanted them to quit because he wanted to create an environment that was so uncomfortable for them that they would leave. So Van Hollen is going to ask Hal Duncan, the nominee, about those statements.
Mr. Duncan, your boss at OMB, Director Vogt, has said, quote, when civil servants wake up in the morning, we want them to not want to go to work because they are increasingly viewed as the villains. He went on to say, and I quote, we want to put them in trauma, unquote. Do you see merit-based civil servants as the villains?
Senator, first, Director Vogt has addressed that quote multiple times in this committee.
I'm asking you what you believe. Do you believe civil servants are the villains?
As I mentioned in my testimony, I think the OMB civil servants, who are the ones I work most closely with, as well as Director Vogt, who has a wonderful relationship with those civil servants, are among the best and brightest in the federal government.
Excellent. So you don't want to put them in trauma, do you?
Senator, that quote you're referring to, Director Vogt has addressed, is related to certain bureaucracies in the federal government.
It's just a question for you, not for Mr. Vogt. Do you want to put federal employees in trauma? Yes or no?
Senator, you're directly
I'm asking
referring
what
to...
your view is. Do you think it's a good idea to put federal employees in trauma?
I work very well with the civil servants at OMB. The quote that you're referring to was a reference to weaponized bureaucracies.
Mr. Duncan, I'm asking you right now what your view is. Do you want to put federal employees into trauma? Yes or no?
Senator, like I said, I completely support the civil servants that work at OMB. And that quote that you're referring to has been taken out of context
I was
and has been addressed by the director up here.
So it's interesting you don't want to provide a direct answer. So
Waldo had to get a real job, Lynatti. He had to get a real job and buy a suit. That's what had to happen. Bryant, again, I'm asking you to prove that. You can keep saying, again, she lied, plus you have to look at, I don't have to look at shit. It's your claim. You have to look at her nonprofit organizations and prove to me that her nonprofits received grants because of her indigeneity. I don't know why I have to say that a third and fourth fucking time to you. It's your claim. Prove it, bitch. This is Tim Kaine asking Hal Duncan, who, about elections and who won them And, you know, his shit-eating grin, because he's going to do the things. He's going to say, Trump won. Trump won 2024. But when we ask him about 2020, it's going to get a little weird.
Was the 2024 presidential election rigged?
Senator, President Trump won the 2024 presidential election.
Yeah, folks, how about that? So he was asked twice, was the 2020 presidential election rigged? And he said President Biden was certified to be the winner. He wouldn't answer the question. Saying President Biden was certified as the winner of that election is like saying today is Tuesday, June 16. I mean, it's a fact. But he wouldn't acknowledge that President Biden won that race. Now, there's only one of two reasons, Mr. Duncan. You have either fallen victim to the conspiracy.
I don't know, Jeff. That's the claim they're giving me, but I don't know. I haven't seen proof of that. I'm just asking if it exists.
Mindset that says that that election was rigged. And if you're a conspiracy theorist, you shouldn't be let anywhere near the position you've been nominated for. Or, you know, President Biden won the election, but you're afraid of making an insecure president mad by acknowledging that fact. You answered so easily when I asked you the question about 2024. You didn't fight, you didn't evade, you didn't obscure, you didn't try to end run. You said President Trump won the election, which he did. He won the popular vote, he won the Electoral College. The answer was just as simple about 2020. The fact that you were unable to give the simple answer about 2020 raises real serious questions about you. Let me ask you this.
Bryant, you're not good at this. You said grants are concisely against white males. 99% of grants go to females with ethnicities other than white. That, if that stat is true, does not prove to me that Elizabeth Warren received a grant because of her indigeneity. Again, prove to me she received a grant because of her indigeneity. Holy crap. So then again, what Tim Kaine is referencing is the fact that Hal Duncan is able to say Trump won 2024, but he can only say this in reference to Joe Biden.
Do you believe the 2020 election was rigged?
I believe that Joe Biden was certified as the winner of the 2020 election.
He was certified, yes, but do you believe the election outcome was rigged?
Senator, I appreciate the question. As mentioned, I believe that Joe Biden was certified as the winner of the 2020 election.
Okay.
Yes, Space Pasta, 99% of the grants go to females with ethnicities other than white. I would love to see where that stat came from. Also, hi, Space Pasta, how are you?
Duly noted that you're not responding to the question. Do you believe the...
So Trump won, but Biden was certified. I do plan to post the video where me and Mia were listening to Senator Kelly asking, was it Jay Clayton? Because I think that was the best way that I've ever heard somebody ask that question. Instead of asking who won in 2020, ask it the way that Senator Kelly did, which is why was Joe Biden certified in 2021? I think that's a better question. This is Senator Merkley on whether Duncan will raise concerns if Trump tries to end the funding on programs already allocated. Because we're asking him because we have asked Russell Vogt and we don't get very good answers. When Congress allocates funding, the law is that it has to get sent there. And Russell Vogt has been trying to delay and block those and ending up in court.
And there is essentially a constitutional understanding that has been reinforced by the Supreme Court twice that the power of the purse cannot be delegated to the president. No matter how much the president wants to cancel programs that are authorized and funded or start programs that aren't funded, doesn't get to decide that. And yet, what we're seeing is programs getting canceled, like I mentioned the ID. Will you defend the separation of powers and throw up a cautionary yellow flag and express some concerns if the strategy of OMB is to cancel an authorized and funded program?
By the way, I didn't get a chance to get to this. I don't even know if I had it on my outline or if I just celebrated internally. I can't remember. But speaking of Nick Shirley, do you remember after the Minnesota shit that Nick Shirley did? Does anybody remember when J.D. Vance and Dr. Oz got put together on an anti-fraud committee that they were going to start going after these states for fraud in daycare and healthcare? And do you remember that they said we are stopping the funding, the federal funding for daycare and medical to the Democratic states that we accuse of fraud? Does anybody remember that? I know we're going sideways a little bit, but I just have to get this out. Does anybody remember that when that happened? That they blocked that funding? Did anybody see the most recent ruling? A judge just came out and the Trump administration is now giving that money back. That money's going back to those Democratic states for daycare and for medical. Like we said it fucking would, because you do not get to choose when to stop allocating funding approved by Congress, because that's the law and unconstitutional. Cool. Are we great yet? We are, because we're winning in court. Anyway, will you commit to the separation of powers and making sure that you disperse the money allocated by Congress?
Well, Senator, I certainly appreciate the question. I firmly commit to upholding the Constitution. As you know, the president ran on restoring the impoundment authority. It's an authority that presidents had exercised for over 200 years. And we have, that being said, we have been in full compliance with the Impoundment Control Act to date. But
no, because there's no proof, Amaro, that those fundings are going to fraudulent programs. Try again.
fundamentally, this question has been litigated multiple times before this committee, and look forward to continue.
And the ones that have been proven to be fraudulent got prosecuted. Amy Bach is going to spend 42.5 years, probably less because she's a white woman, but allegedly 42.5 years in prison.
I'm going to work with you on it.
So that wasn't an answer to the question. The administration has shut down programs that are authorized and funded. If there's another proposal to shut down a program that's authorized and funded, will you raise, not that, I'm not asking about whether you'll publicly oppose it, you're going to be working for the director. Will you strive to make sure that there's a yellow flag put up and said, you know, this may be violating the separation of powers?
Appreciate the question. Senator, I would commit to abiding by the Constitution and the laws on the books. Will
you? Because the Constitution says you have to allocate that funding that has been approved by Congress. So we'll see about that if he got confirmed. I was trying to look. It looks like maybe. I have a few videos and then we will get out of here. This is still OMB Nom. So this is about debt and deficits that are not listed in the budget, and why you refuse to answer these questions, and he's going to deflect to Russell Vought, who's not there. So I don't know why he's deflecting. A lot of Senator Merkley was really on him with these questions in committee.
I was very concerned that the budget submitted for this last year did not have any deficit and debt projections. The law actually requires the budget that the president submits to have deficit and debt information. Will you?
Now remember, the department he is trying to be the deputy director of, that Russell Vought is the director of, is the Office of Management and Budget. They put out a proposed budget, okay, for the administration and their policies and their goals. Now, apparently the law requires them to put in the estimation for debts and deficits. Why is that not listed in there? Do you not want the American people to know how much your shit policies are costing us?
Push to make sure deficit and debt information is in the next submission to Congress?
Senator, I appreciate the question.
I agree, Amaro. You said they need to continue to investigate. The more they put in the jail for fraud, the more funds that will be available for those doing the right thing. I agree. But in the meantime, it is against the law to restrict that funding from those programs. But I agree with you. The fraud should be investigated, prosecuted, convicted, and time should be served. If not, on top of that, time served and restitution should be paid. Maybe we should stop pardoning fraudsters, Donald Trump. Maybe we should stop doing that. But I agree with you, but you cannot. It is illegal to stop the funding in the meantime. Not on my screen yet, Eli. Wait, there it is. W's, you guys hit 300,000. I'm so proud of you. It only takes me yelling at you and admonishing you. Why do you guys like to be degraded? I don't kink shame. I just kink ask why, and my kink is to kink shame. So that's why I do that. But thank you guys. W's to you. Give yourself a pat on the back. Give yourselves a break. Honestly, you really don't even have to tap anymore if you do not want to. We're going to finish out the rest of these few videos on Hal Duncan, and then we're going to get out of here for the weekend. But thank you guys so much for hitting that goal. I appreciate every single one of you.
As Director Vought testified when he was up here discussing the budget, our budget for FY27 was a discretionary budget. We wanted to help kick off the
No, I understand, but the law requires deficit.
It's illegal to stop funding to unproven fraud, Timothy.
Debt. Will you work to follow the law in the next submission to Congress?
Senator, certainly will work to follow the law. I want to note that we will release additional projections of that sort like we did last year in the mid-session review, which will come this summer.
I want to note that when Vogt did testify, he said he didn't follow the law because he didn't want to confuse the American public.
And then Amaro backs into his Republican corner where he agreed with a leftist for 2 seconds and says common sense should rule the day. No, the law should rule the day because that's why we have a constitution. Okay. Have a great weekend, though, then since you want to run.
Two problems with that. First of all, that says the American public are idiots. They're not idiots. They follow deficit and debt very closely. This is a big problem for the United States of America. And second of all, he is not authorized to break the law. And if you're working for him as a deputy, I hope you'll raise a yellow flag if he seeks to break the law again.
We hope so. We doubt it, because if he was put forth by this administration, he's probably one of their goons. So then let's go to Van Hollen again. We'll go back to Van Hollen about the conversation that happened, because unfortunately, as much as Russell Vogt just wants a mass firing of federal workers, he had to start rehiring federal workers, and what that cost us to fire them and then rehire them, and the mess of that situation.
You're aware of the fact that the IRS has warned that this year's tax season was at risk due to staffing shortages. Are you aware of that fact?
Senator, obviously we're trying to...
I'm just asking you if you're aware of that fact, that they warned that this year's tax season efficiency was at risk because of staffing shortages. Are you
Senator,
not aware of that?
I'm not aware of the exact item you're referring to. I'm happy to take a look at it if it's in front of you.
Yeah.
But obviously, everything that we are doing is toward a commitment for efficiency for the American people.
Well, in fact, you've had to rehire people who were fired.
Timothy, the white woman who was convicted of fraud for Feeding Our Future, no, she committed fraud. And the other people, some of which were Somali, who are indicted, we will see how their cases pan out. And if they committed fraud, they need to be prosecuted and convicted. And if they have removal of status in that case, they can then be deported. That's totally fine. But you do not get to remove the funding in the meantime while you search for fraud. You do not get to do that.
At the IRS. That doesn't sound like it's more efficient to me. The same is true at FEMA. FEMA reinstated fire disaster response personnel ahead of the hurricane season because they were unprepared. Were you aware of that fact?
Senator, I'm not aware of this specific thing. That would be a FEMA-related item that I've had.
A lot of this, of course, feeds up through the OMB. Same is true of the National Weather Service. GSA cited staffing shortages on mission-critical needs. Were you aware of that?
I'd have to defer to the National Weather Service.
In fact, by early this year, an estimated 25,000 federal employees have been rehired.
Uh-oh.
After being initially terminated.
Uh-oh.
Do you know how much that's cost the taxpayer, rehiring the same people who were in the job before?
Senator, I don't have an estimate in front of me, but we're always working to optimize staffing levels.
Well, I have an estimate from the Partnership for Public Service. They're a nonpartisan entity. They say just that process of having to go through rehiring the same people that were fired cost the taxpayer $12 million. That doesn't sound more efficient to me.
You were firing people to be efficient, but you had to rehire those people because you realized we couldn't actually be efficient without them. And that cost the taxpayer $12 million. Awesome. Last video before we get out of here is going to be Alyssa Slotkin speaking to him about wanting the job, okay? But not answering questions for the job. She kind of does a similar thing, not to as good of an extent, unfortunately, but she kind of does a similar thing to what Jon Ossoff does. What you guys don't, I agree with you, Kat. I'm not a huge fan of Slotkin, but what I will say is asking these questions is important. This is a job interview. When they come in front of Congress for confirmation, it's a job interview. When they come in front of Congress for budget meetings, it is to ask Congress to give them funding. They are meant to answer questions and answer them honestly. If Donald Trump is going to claim that this is the most transparent administration in history, then they need to be transparent in their answers. And all we ever hear is, I don't know, or some word salad answer to not answer. We saw that when Jon Ossoff lit up Jay Clayton the other day. Amazing work. They work for us, and that includes the president. I don't know why you guys forget that. They work for us, and that is why it is our job as voters and as political commentators, if you are one, to hold them accountable. I do not care what side of the aisle they are on, hold them accountable. I don't like Alyssa Slotkin, okay? She's an AIPAC-funded corporate shill. Would love to see her voted out. But doesn't mean she didn't ask good questions in the meantime.
Thank you for being here. Thank you to a couple of you who I met in my office yesterday and for taking the time. Obviously, you've heard a lot, Mr. Hamilton, about concerns about politicization. I think the thing that you heard from my colleague from Michigan was it's just hard to rationalize just how many disasters have been approved for aid in Republican states versus Democratic states. And in Michigan, we're a swing state, we're a purple state. And I think particularly the ice storm that we had a year and a half ago has really felt like we've had to use an incredible amount of influence and power, both Democrats and Republicans working together in our delegation to get reimbursement. And I think, the total damage from that storm was $440 million. And if we don't, get help, then the average ratepayer, because we had electric co-ops go down, is going to be charged an extra $4,500 per household. So it is pretty existential for people in my state. I know you're someone who's worked in and around FEMA for a long time, but
now, to be clear, she's talking to multiple nominees at this point because not only is Hal Duncan there, but there were nominees for FEMA and the Postmaster General, all of which I also have clips on that we just have not been able to get to, and hopefully we will next week. We will start working on that as long as Donald Trump doesn't keep up with his bullshit, which no shot in hell.
I just want to double tap the idea that we can't have stats coming out of your office when and if you get confirmed that demonstrate that you get more of a payout if you're in a Republican state and a faster payout if you're in a Republican state. And that should go without saying. And Republicans would be screaming bloody murder if the stats were reversed and if it was easier to get money if you were a Democratic state under a Democratic president. Let's please keep disasters apolitical. I want to ask to Mr. Duncan, you've had an interesting couple of days up here on the Hill.
I mean, Amoro, FEMA is essential. The issue that we have had is that the Congress is not funding FEMA to the extent with which they need to be. And we saw specifically with the hurricanes in the Carolinas, where the funding for FEMA was already wiped out because they had not anticipated this many storms in that amount of time. And what they had asked Mike Johnson to do was to come back to bring back session, to bring back Congress. They were on break. They asked him to call a session of Congress to do a bill to increase funding for FEMA because that funding was running out and they needed help in the Carolinas. And Mike Johnson said no.
Made some news, gone viral a couple of times. I just feel like this idea that to get a federal grant, the rules have been rewritten so that you can reject any organization that represents.
Debunk. You said that was when Biden was in office. Sure, Biden was the president of the United States. Who passes funding in this country, though? And who was in charge of Congress at that time? If I said Mike Johnson, it should give you a hint because the Speaker of the House is going to always be the person in the majority party.
Presents, quote, anti-American values.
Jesus Christ.
And anyone who, quote, damages the reputation of the government. So you're going to be in an important position of power. You want the big job. You answer the big questions. If a university that was receiving federal dollars for a research grant into cancer, but they allowed a protest, a peaceful protest of the Iran war on their campus, would that be, quote, damaging to the reputation of the government?
Senator, I appreciate the question. As you know, with 2 CFR, it's signed off by all 41 agencies.
Right, but in your mind, you're asking to be a decision maker, right? So I understand there's a chain. I was a federal government employee for a long time, but you're up here for Senate confirmation, so it's a big job. Is a protest, a First Amendment peaceful protest on a college campus threaten the federal dollars that they are getting for cancer research under the rules that you will be enforcing? Yes or no?
Senator, you're asking a hypothetical question, but I would note that this
Well,
rule
we have
isn't-
protests. We do. I mean, I have University of Michigan and Michigan State. There are protests from time to time, that's for sure. So it's not hypothetical. This is something that literally in 15, 20 days you could be dealing with. Is a First Amendment protest on a college campus enough to be, quote, anti-American or threatening the reputation of this administration?
In the hypothetical question that you're asking related to grants for cancer research, this administration is committed to gold standard science and wants to advance the best cancer research that we possibly can.
Okay, so if they can have a protest on their campus. And I would just say slashing cancer research and slashing our science institutions around the country and making us have to be literally 1/10 of the medical research that's going on in like places like China and Europe is not a way to uphold a gold standard for cancer research. And I say that for a woman who's, got cancer in her family.
Because we have seen them cutting cancer research. And not only that, we have seen them threatening the funding of universities that allow free speech protests. Oh, no.
If a domestic violence shelter receives a federal grant, but they also post complaints about this administration's cutting of domestic violence funding, will that put them at risk of being labeled anti-American or threatening the reputation of this administration?
Senator, again, you're asking hypothetical questions. The ultimate deciders of these grants will be the political employees at the agencies. I would imagine in this situation, it would likely be HHS.
The political employees? The political appointees like yourself?
The political appointees. OMB does not issue grants. We issue guidance, uniform guidance on grants. So I would not make decisions on a specific grant.
But if someone calls you, I mean, again, this is like, you can't want the big job, but then not answer the big questions. I think the idea that First Amendment activities would be, quote, anti-American or threatening the reputation of this administration, you understand that you're creating a climate of fear around things that are actually, it's the opposite of anti-American. It's the most American thing in the world, the First Amendment. So I think you've raised a lot of concerns in your testimony over the last couple of days, but the idea that the administration would put that kind of language out there to intimidate and scare people out of freedom of speech is something that is the most anti-American thing I've seen in a long time. Yield back.
Senator Ernst.
She ate him up, though. She did eat him up. I have to give her that. Okay. That's done. Got through a decent amount. It never ends, because as we're going through that, fucking Mark Wayne babyback bitch McMullins is threatening the states with jail time if they don't cooperate with the SAVE program, which he has no authority to threaten them with. He has no authority to force them to use the SAVE program. He says that the media, we'll cover this all next week, but the media should turn down the temperature because they're going to turn it up in the streets. It's just... we're going to see more death from ICE. We're going to see more claims of election BS that they can't prove. They're just going to be on some bullshit. Just going to be on some bullshit. And we will be here to call them out every single time, baby, because you guys don't. So that's what we're going to do. All right. I love you all so very much. W's to you guys for hitting those 300,000 likes. I appreciate it. Truly, truly, truly so very much. You guys even hit 314. Thank you. I hope over there on YouTube that you all hit that thumbs up button for me. I appreciate it if you did. I will be back Monday, I think. I don't think I have any appointments or anything. Let me double check. Let me double check. No, we are good until the 27th. Awesome. I will be back Monday, the 20th. I've been trying to strive for 9 o'clock Mountain. If not, it will be 10 a.m. Mountain time, but I've been striving to do earlier because giving myself those 3 hours allows me to really, really, really get through a lot of my outline. And so I've been really trying to. But if I'm not on at 9 a.m., I'll be on at 10 a.m. The best way to find out if I'm live is not only to follow and subscribe, but Also, to join my Discord, there's a little bit of verification, but we can get you in there because I do have an announcements channel that announces when I'm live on all platforms and when, so that you guys can find me, okay? I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Please make sure you are taking breaks from this bullshit. Spend time with friends and family. Just go out and enjoy the day. Do something nice for yourself. I really would like to try and order Chinese food this weekend because I've been craving Chinese food. A bitch needs some crab rangoons. So I think that's what I'm going to try to do. I appreciate all of you and your support, and I will see you guys on Monday. So what we're going to do, though, is let me set this up. On YouTube and Twitch, I think I'm going to send you to, RTP is not on today. I'm going to send you to Matt. Who was that? Hold on, wait. Oh, no, okay. We're going to send you to Matt, Politics of Matt, so you guys can have more fun being angry. I'm sure it's one of your guys' favorite things to do. Let me find him. Politics of Matt right there. So I'm going to start that raid over there. So YouTube and Twitch, I will see you guys next weekend. Thank you guys for everything and your support and even the hate comments because it does help boost me, whether you want it to or not. So sad. Cry about it.